targets. And essentially what I'm referring to is that when you're in a street situation, your response has to be immediate. And we really do not spend a lot of time, we show techniques and show, well, you hit here, we kick to the groin. But we don't spend a lot of time on just doing it. You cannot stand there and say, what did my sensei say? You have to be able to react, okay? And I don't want to even use the word react because I would just as soon use the word, you must become proactive. Because you need to get out of the situation before you think of anything else you're going to do. So, can I borrow Chris here? And we're going to start off standing, maybe for initially, and then we're going to go to the ground. Okay, because ground is a little more difficult to deal with than standing up, but a lot of the same stuff applies. So he's going to come up with a hold of his sorts, whatever you want to do. Okay, because this has to be any sort of attack. Well, attack. See, hits and kicks, you really don't have to worry too much about. Because you block, you hit back, and all that other stuff. But if someone is holding you and restraining you, then you're in a more serious situation. Okay, so you're going to some sort of standing, what have you, whatever you have a good move. Okay, so we're here. Okay, now what are my options? And what we want to do, the easiest way is I'm going to work from the bottom up. Okay, what are my options? He's holding me this way. He can even be pulling my arm back and really restrain me as best you can this way. Which really is, okay, see, now I'm down. Okay, now what are my options? Okay, who wants to start at the bottom? Feet, foot, a good stomp. Okay, into the right there. Into the instep. Don't go for the toes. Okay, guys wearing steel boots, you do this all night. You'll turn up the music, and you'll both have a good time. Okay, you go to the instep. No shoe protects your instep. Okay, and that's where you smash down. You can have bare feet. You can have steel-sided fiberglass boots, and you're still going to nail the puppy. Okay, but there's no protection. So stomp down. Working up. What else can you do next? We're still dealing with the feet, depending on what footwork. Start up and just scrape down on the shin. Okay, you release that way. Okay, working up. What's next? It's before elbows. I haven't gotten any. I'm not using my hand yet. What else is available?
Your hips.
Your hips. Okay, I can push back. Okay, or I can thrust back. Okay, so we've got that. Okay, now I am not using my hands yet. What else can I do in terms of movement? Hold me securely. What else can I do? I might try dropping down. I can also turn, and I haven't used my elbow yet. Well, I've used it, but it's part of my body. Okay, so I've used my elbow. Okay. Now, if he's holding me, okay, if he's holding my elbow against him, I really can't use it. But there's nothing that prevents me, and I kind of refer to this as I know in grappling they have a term for called shooting, but I'm going to use the same concept differently, and that is he's holding this back, I can't do anything. But there's nothing that says I can't just reach out and then come back. Okay, so if someone's holding you against them, another option is simply, you can reach straight out, I can reach straight down, anything I want, but you just have to, you don't want to get your shoulder into it because he's going to feel that. Okay, you just have to move. The lower extremity, the upper one follows. Okay, so now we've used this one. We have a free hand here. Okay, we haven't played with yet. Okay, what do I have available to me? Okay, I also got grab, I can strike, okay, a good old just open-handed love tap will do wonders, okay. It won't hurt the person, it really won't. An open-handed slap won't hurt them, but it sure will wake them up, okay. Okay, and one of the problems of trying to do a technical grab, it lot of his limitation is based on what kind of pants they're wearing. If they're wearing baggy pants, you got a chance. If they're wearing Levi's that fit well, okay, Levi material does not give very well, so that's kind of a frustrating thing to try and do, okay? So it really depends on what kind of clothing they're wearing.
Or boxers or briefs.
Pardon?
Boxers or briefs.
Boxers or briefs too, right, okay? You're wearing your whitey tighties or hanging loose, and if they're loose, they're available. So anyway, and a good testicle grab does wonders. Okay, so we've done this hand, and we haven't come up with it. Okay, this hand. Okay, I can go for his hand, I can go for a nerve. Okay, I can come up here. You're familiar with, in guy grabs, you go for those two nerves on the forearm, you use it right nerves. So what I'm going to do, we're going to go through this. I just want you to hook in, and then you're going to pull this down against you. Don't try and pull it away. He's too strong for that. Okay, we're going to pull it against you and down. Okay, and then we can also put the elbow, kidneys. Okay, and lastly, you have your head. And now his head is down. Okay, but I can still hit him. Okay, this is not a good place for me to hit his head. If his face is looking at me and I just smash my head back, that's much nicer. Okay, because stuff here can break fairly easily. But if you try and hit a person around here, okay, it's going to be hard to break anything. Top, you might have a chance.
I've yet to see the untrained.
Right. Yeah. So what we're going to have you do, okay? We're going to have the person get up. We're going to use this attack, okay? And what I want you to do. I don't care what technique you finish up with, okay? I want you to do something. Use at least one of these. I want him holding you fairly securely. I don't want a flaky hold. I want a fairly secure hold. Okay. I want you to do something that's going to get him to loosen up, and then I want you to go into a technique that whatever you have to have up your sleeve. That I want you to use. You want to do a throw? Do a throw. Okay. My concern is getting you to become proactive and get out of that situation. Unfortunately, in here, I want you to let him set the hold. On the street, I would never say wait until the guy sets the hold. Okay? Because if he's really strong and he gets a good hold on you, you are in serious trouble. Okay? But in here, I'd like the hold set with moderate strength. Okay? And might even give some moderate resistance. And I want you to get out of that hold and then go into whatever technique you have. Once you get out of the hold, this guy has got to stop resisting or he is going to get hurt. Okay, this is for his safety. Okay, any questions? Okay, this is the attack. You're holding him this way? Yeah. This way, just because I think it's a better hold.
I was trying to be uneducated.
Yeah, the person grabs you this way. This is high on the stupid list. Okay, because there's no strength to this grip. None whatsoever. It doesn't matter how much muscle he has in his arm. This is a worthless grip. Okay, this on the other hand is going to be worth something. Okay, and this actually will be harder to get out of than this would. Even though the illusion is that you're grabbing the person, so be strong, be grab. Okay, but this the hook is going to work better. Okay, so get your partner. Okay, and this is going to be. And I want you to have do this wrong. Okay, I want you to have his back arch so he's off balance. Okay, very good. Let's see what happens. Thank you. Some other grabber hold and. Now we're not being nice. And okay, he either wants me to go down or he wants to move me someplace. We're not going to have a static situation. Okay, now what can I do from here? Other than we got this, up and up, tap up from behind. Okay, now if on the other hand he's trying to move me, I can't. Okay, got an airplane. Okay, if I lift one foot up, yeah, I'm going down a lot faster. Okay, so I can't do that. Okay, if he's holding me static, this is easy to deal with. If he's moving me around, which move me around. Yeah. Now I've got some problems. Okay. Okay. And he's going to hold my head down because that keeps me off down. Okay. Okay. Now you all should know what I was done. This comes from Katsugo.
He squeaked, but it looked, yeah, it looked like a
Little
shark bite.
little shark bite. Because he had my hand against his torso. Okay, that's the easiest. You always look for the easiest thing to do. If you got a hand here, just grab little meat and pinch. Okay, it'll get you some room. Okay, other things I can do is,
Hip check.
pardon?
Hip check.
Yeah, I can thrust in, and that can get my. You've got to get that. This is irrelevant here. You have to realize when you have combination holds put on you, one of the two is going to be relatively useless. It's there as a distraction. Okay, so what you want to do is, the one that's confining you is this one. Okay, so I've got to get this arm out. Okay, that's what, this will come out automatically. If I can pull the arm out, I can take care of the other. Okay, so we've got this, okay, we've got a butt thrust, okay, over on this side, okay, if I want to play with this, all I have to do is bring the arm down, but it's got to be body. You have to move your body. If I try and just do this with my arm, it ain't gonna work. Okay, as dumb as it looks. You have to let your body, and anything you do, you have to let your body do the work. Okay? And the closer you can keep it, the better. So rather than trying to reach down, I want to just turn. Okay? And it also gets us out. Oh, we got fingers. I have an arm bar. Finger brace. Okay? Take it down. It's so simple. Okay. You don't have to do that technique. That's just the one that came to mind, or not to mind. Okay? But that's the attack I want, is he is going to have this set up, and rather than just having you hold, he's going to move you around. Okay? So he's going to move you around. Not as nice when they're moving you around. Ah. Okay? So I want him to, you can try it once static, and then start moving around. And I think you'll find that when your attacker starts moving you around, techniques do not work as nicely as when you're standing still. But it's good experience. Okay? Very good. Okay. That's the attack. Make this hold a lot more effective. Well, that probably is road. You know, we're talking about easy. Okay, what can you do? One really simple thing. If Byron thinks of it, he can do it, and you're going to see me move. That's not it. That's surprisingly not it. That hurts. That's not it.
Take you to the ground.
Grab your. I'll give you a clue. It's something I don't
The
have.
knee to the middle of
Left
that.
of it.
Give you a clue. It has to do with his right hand.
Bishop?
Grab it. You're on the other side. Where he had his hand in the first place was the correct place to have it.
Shall we give them the...
Okay, one of your 5 fingers.
Hey, you nerd.
Yes! Okay, so, if you, and this is something you have to be aware of. If you end up in a situation, guys on the ground or standing, and whatever it says, okay, and you're here, and he's starting to give you trouble, if you just take your middle finger, it's your nerve technique, and dig in, he's going to move. Okay, and that's all it takes. So I want you to just try this, and you can have this person here, giving you some hassle, and all I want you to do is take that middle finger right back in here, and just dig it in. Okay. Now, out of courtesy, if you haven't heard this, whenever you're doing nerve attack, after you use a nerve attack, and people usually don't like it done more than a couple times to them, they get really antsy. Okay, is you always take and massage away from the heart. Okay, that helps relax the muscles, so you can do it again. The only exception is if you're doing it in the neck, you need to massage away from the head, downward. Okay. Those of you, when you go driving, you get a neck cramp. which is a real bummer. If you've ever had that happen, when you're neck cramps and you're driving, and people start massaging this way, which really aggravates it. What you really have to do, as much as it hurts, is you have to massage down so that it helps the muscle relax. Okay? And if you have thin seats, you have the person behind you press in on the base of your trapezius, which will help relax this whole muscle, but that's not going to work on the car. Anyway, so what I want you to do is you're going to set this puppy up, okay? And if you want you to do it this way, and this person's going to start giving you a hassle, okay? And you're really in a bad situation because if you let go of this hand to do something, he's out. If you let go of this hand, he's out, okay? So your hands are committed, but your fingers aren't. Okay? So what I want you to do is let your fingers do the walking. Okay? This person's going to be resistant. Okay? Somehow you've gotten yourself into this situation, and all I want you to do is take that middle finger and press down into that nerve. Okay? And you may have to give him a good press. Don't make it a slow, gentle press. Okay? This is not going to do anything. He can resist that. But if you just come in and press, he's going to move. Okay? And you've got to learn to do that with nerve. Once you know where they are, you just bang, get it. Okay? You're learning a martial, I mean, this is more, you guys know this. You're learning to defend yourself. And part of it with nerves is gently increasing the pressure to get, you're working with a student, you're trying to learn how to do it so you don't really want to hurt them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But on the street, you can't mess with that. That nerve pressure has to be applied right away. Because you know where the person is going to go when you apply that pressure. Okay? And so I want you to do that here. It's a safe technique to do it with. Okay? So try it a couple times a piece. Okay? Thank you, Byron. Okay, so here you're using works best for nerves. Okay? Some people find it works better if they press with the tip of their finger, some kind of like at a 45-degree angle. I mean, all the action's up in this little area here. Okay? But you kind of have to depend on how you work. You'll decide whether this works better, applying pressure here or on the tip. Okay, try not to use your nails because that doesn't work. And on top of that, it leaves marks.
DNA.
And DNA. Okay, and having been a school teacher, I never had any qualms about putting my hands on kids. And some kids in the classroom I would do joking, this stuff doesn't work. Show me, Mr. Kirby. And there were times when I would actually have to use it, but as a teacher, you can't afford to leave marks. And
Is this being taped?
Yeah,
and I've said it before, but serious on the street, the less marks you leave on a person, the more difficulty they will have saying that you hurt them. Okay, so just be aware. Okay, one more. Let's take another one. And I want something from the front or the side this time. Backs are easy to take care of. So if someone wanted to come up and do a front or side, or someone fair game.
You may have to point.
That's Hungarian. We had a discussion about that last night in class. You missed. Okay. You want to be the victim? You want to be the lucky person? Any type of pull from side or front that you think is going to be good?
Oh, okay, good.
Oh, Christmas time.
Okay, let me get my glasses.
That's a good thing.
Two things. First of all, you think you're going to get in a street situation and you're wearing glasses, you need to take them off. Give them to someone else. My guy's going to attack you. Can you hold these for a minute? Or put them in your pocket or give them to someone next to you. Okay, you need to get them off because they're going to come off, and then your priority is going to be finding your glasses and making sure they don't get hurt. Okay, so you got to get them off. Number two, I would say, here, you want to hold these, that's a distraction. Okay? And the guy may actually take them because this is just an automatic thing to do. Okay? So, anyways, there's a method to this stupidity. Okay, we're here. Okay.
So we got to hit all this is a good one. Okay. Now I can do this. I've got here. I've got shark bites. Okay. I've got the shark bites here, okay? I've got thumb, nerve, okay? I've got, and I'm doing fingers too for nerve, okay? So I've got a whole slew of little goodies I can use here. I can bring this hand up, I can grab here, grab ear, under the nose, into the eye. That's eye, right? Okay. Okay. Now, and you don't have to. Eyes some people don't like to do because I don't want to take his eye out. Okay. And the nice thing is you really don't. Okay. You can let them close their eyes. Okay. I'm not going to come back and rip this thing out of its socket. Dunk. Okay. It isn't going to happen.
They'll move.
They will move.
They will move.
But that's a serious thing if they're trying to kill you. But if you use, all you have to do is push in on the corner of their eye, and it's amazing how fast they will move.
Just the pressure.
What?
Just the pressure alone.
Just the pressure alone, aside from the fact that there are nerves in it. Okay. So, I mean, and look how not easy that finger fits there. God made that eye socket for us. Okay. Okay. So use what's there under the nose. If this was Kutsugo, and we stick your finger up the nose, okay? You can stick your finger in the ear. You know, you have all these availabilities up here. Just don't stick your finger in their mouth, because you can get bit, okay? And that's not good, because then you have to get tetanus shots, and you can get STDs and all sorts of other nasty things from getting bit. Okay, so I want the person to have you in a fairly secure headlock, okay? I want you to use anything you want to get out of it and then take this person down or put them in a control hold. Okay? We didn't even go under the jaw. Okay? Hit them a few times. Break these ribs. They're easy to break down here. Okay? So that's what we're going to have you do. Pretty good. And if you want to make it better, make it more fun. Give me this one. Head down. Bring him like this. Grab onto your belt. And give him to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I want you to kick your leg up. Okay.
And then half of us will go to dinner tonight.
Okay. But or you might just want to try this, but don't really go down. But just count to 5. And then don't tell him you're counting to 5. And then just raise your leg up, and his time is up. So this is going to require you move a little faster, okay? So I'm going to put him into this hold, and then I'm going to count to 5, and if he hasn't gotten out by the time I count to 5, okay, all I do is to bring this leg up, and we have to start over again, okay? Very good. That makes it a game challenge out of it. Okay, very good. Okay, let's try it. With the exception of setting up a proper lock on the ground. Which I'm not totally stupid. Need some, who wants to, let's see, you're here, I'm down, Tucky Kaya Fire. Someone small. That's a bit. Okay, so, okay, one thing you have to realize is hopefully, you've had good training, and if your intent is to survive, size is irrelevant, okay? Because it is, some of the tasks you understand, your intent is to survive, and so you're not going to be too concerned with, what's nice, what's not nice, okay? So I'm going to be on the ground, and you're going to put me in whatever hold you are happy with, as long as it's proper. That I absolutely cannot get out of it. Okay. That doesn't mean that one of you might not be able to get out of it. Okay. So I'm just going to lie down and and go for it.
We're gonna let him set this puppy up.
Okay. Okay, we're going to turn around so you can see what's there.
See, I know how to do this. Okay, this is your hold. Okay, now, if I was younger and had a shorter torso, I could take my leg, wrap it up under to see. What you should be doing is bringing your head down next to one. There you go, that's much nicer. Now I can bite his ear off. Okay. You think I'm if he gets his head down here, okay, you've got a free hand. Bring this into you, bite the ear, okay? He's probably trying to hold his head as close to you as possible anyway.
Pull a Tyson.
You Tyson, right. And then he can go to this, you know, after he did that number, there are actually chocolate ears in some markets with a white mark out of them for about 2-3 months. This is America. Okay, so you've got this, you can bring him in and do that. Okay, you can, from here, this arm is not really trapped, okay? I'm just gonna work with this hand. First of all, we've got nerves, we can come around, we can turn him over, okay? If I can get his head back,
And you continue to do it. A little bit more flexible.
now, see, now I'm happy. Okay, now I've got a figure 4 block on it. Okay, he's still on top of me. Okay. Okay, okay, I can. Okay, he's here. Okay, I can bring the head down. I can go for the nose. Okay, I can take him over that way. If I can turn this hand out and just roll him over. Okay. Keep the pressure on the nose. Okay. You okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I'm out. This is not a hold. Okay. But it's going to work. I've got an arm there I can use. Okay. And from here, he's smiling. Okay. From here, all I have to do at this point is simply rotate out, come around.
And then you go up.
Now I do have a hold. Okay. Now, if he wants to get out of this, what he has to do, that was a good first move, okay? And that was a good second move. He's braced now, okay? You're now going to bring go up on your right foot so you can be on the ball of your foot, ball of your right foot. Okay, now, what you're going to do to get out of this, and I'm going to do this and you can go through the sequence, okay, is you're going to bend your elbow, because there's nothing that's preventing him from bending his elbow. Okay, here. Now, shoot out and turn your hand. Shoot straight out.
With my arm or my leg? The leg.
This leg. No. You're not out of this.
Turn to your.
Okay, you bent this, but I want you, when I say shoot with your arm, you want to straighten your elbow, straighten your hand. There you go, and you're out. Okay, now you can rotate around, and he'll put me back over in the position I was before. And we can do this all day. Okay? So we got ahead of ourselves because that's how you get out of here, face down. But anyway, what I'd like you to do is be put in this lock initially. The headlock. What?
The other.
The other one. Okay. I want it fairly secure. I want you to do whatever you need to do to get out of this. Okay. And without him resisting too much. Okay. Because otherwise he will be injured. Be careful. If you're doing things on his face, be careful. Okay? Because I don't want his nose in the middle of his forehead. Because it's kind of hard to wipe your eyebrows that way. And, yeah. Okay?
A little more drippy.
What?
A little more drippy.
And,
You can read that to me.
now, if you do perspire, please bring some talcum powder with you. Okay, let's go. Because if you're going to bite a person, whatever you grab hold of, you then start, rather than just biting them and then letting go, you need to hold on to that flesh and start moving your head any way you can move your head. A human bite is a very vicious bite. Okay? Because we don't have too big incisors that we tend to latch onto, and everything else is kind of free play, which is why sometimes you get out of bites of some animals if you've ever been bitten. Unless they have really strong jaws, such as pit bulls. But with a human bite, all your teeth are involved. That's a solid bite. And you can take a really good chunk out of a person. You need your name? Here? No, but in all seriousness, if you're going to bite, get a mouthful, and then start twisting back and forth. Okay, it's very painful. Okay, and you're after pain.
But often you don't even have to do that because their initial reaction is try to jerk away.
Right.
And it's their jerking away that
That's-
usually does more damage than your bite.
Right.
And that same concept applies to a lot of holds. The attacker will usually get injured because they're jerking away from you and finishing the technique for you. Okay, so it's something you have to be aware of. In some cases, even when you practice with each other, you know, you realize the person is not going the right way that you would like them to go, so you can finish up the hold and do another submission, something like that. If you were, and the reason you let go is because you know that if you kept hold, whatever your hold you have is going to result in a fracture on their part. Okay, and that same thing will happen on the street. You don't let go. It's, you know, if they want to go in a different direction, it's their body part. Okay, the reason I wanted to spend some time on this morning was to get you to start working with not thinking so much. Just use some of the small things to get out of holds, get out of locks. Because it's nice to say, well, you're in a headlock, so if you bring your leg out and roll him over, he's going to let go on the way over because he's lost his sense of continuity or what have you. And then, you know, and it just, in the reality of things, it doesn't work that way. The person is going to keep hold of a hold if they can. So you have to do things to mess with their mind. The shark bite, the bending the fingers back, any of those things are not in and of themselves going to get you out of the hold. What they do is they cause the attacker to think of something else. And that distraction is what makes it possible for you to then do what you're really trying to do, which is get out of the hold, move the arm, slip your head out, those other things. Okay? And that's, you really, and I'll say for myself, okay, you need to spend more time with your students training them with that, because that will allow them to practice jujitsu. Okay? Okay? And after all, your goal is to teach them jujitsu. Okay? And this is the self-defense part, you know. So, anyhow, we're going to give you a break for about 5 or 7 minutes now. Again, if you do need to use the facility, please wear shoes. And there's, you can go outside and sit, or stand here and sit, and see what else I need to mention. And then who's going to be on? Chris is going to be on with chokes and submissions. And you didn't know you were going to get into groundwork the first hour, did you? Anyway, but so, and when you do, at least what I found with my students is if you tell them ahead of time you're going to do groundwork, half of them won't show up for class. So it's amazing how many students don't like, in most martial arts, unless they're MMA, okay, or Gracie,
Great shirt to show you.
do not like groundwork because it's number one, you don't look nice, you don't look clean, none of the techniques are smooth, it uses a whole different set of muscles, you really get tired, okay, and it's physically exhausting if you're doing it right, okay, but it does involve strength on both parties, so that's why I didn't want to tell you that first hour we'll be doing groundwork because some of you might not have shown up. Okay. Apparently your dad found out, so he decided to ask him to chose.
The airline didn't have any early flights.
Sure. Nobody comes to LA before noon.
He's flying into LA?
He's actually flying in. He couldn't get a flight that would land before 11, so he lands at about 11:15. He's hoping.
They have a rule here? You can't land in LA before 11?
He made the reservation way too late. The year
Okay, I thought maybe it was just, you know, I'm not a morning person. Okay, gonna give you a break, and then Chris has got the show, and that's all rise. And there is even cold water out in the ice chest, so if you just want to drink water, there's water there for you as well. Okay, touch your mother. Good, stay. Okay, forward until noon. Chris is going to be doing part 1 of chokes and submissions, and so they're all yours.
Okay. I actually thought ahead this year and brought handouts.
Thank you.
There is also a full color version of this. If you'd like the full color version, just give me your email address and I'll get it.
So, a couple of standard thoughts here. Please note the disclaimer if you use this and you're on your own. Basically, the choking techniques are extremely efficient, extremely effective, and while you're using them, you need to have that awareness that there's a very short distance between choking or submitting somebody and turning their lights out permanently. So with that in mind as well, while we're in here, let's be slow and gentle and cautious. Okay? Okay, so why would you use a choke? Like I said, very efficient, very effective method of finishing any altercation. Because if you do your technique correctly, they are very quick. And as was noted earlier, most people don't do their techniques correctly. They kind of throw them on because they've kind of seen it this way or kind of seen it that way. So what I want to go over this weekend in Part A and Part B is the fine points of the technique, refining it so that you know where you're choking, what you're choking, and how you're doing it. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. So what makes a choke? I've divided them into roughly 3 groups. Okay? You've got pain chokes, those that cause pain. You've got blood chokes, those that cut off or slow down the flow of blood, usually to the brain. And you've got air chokes, which obstruct or impair your breathing. Okay? The last 2 categories could roughly, they have some overlap to them because just of the anatomy, which we'll go over in a second. And choke can be applied through any method, your body, some part of clothing, some implement, or an object like a chair or a table or something. Okay? Any questions so far? All pretty straightforward? Okay. Let's talk about anatomy for a minute because this is, I think, crucial to the correct understanding of chokes. So if you will go to page 2, you'll see that I found a pretty nice illustration of the rough anatomy of the neck. Looking to the side here. The thing to remember about especially blood and air chokes is that most of the good stuff is buried beneath a lot of muscle. For good reason, right? Evolutionarily, that's a good thing. We like our important parts buried deeply so that they are easily accessible. You'll note on the diagram that you see here that most of the time when people see blood vessels pumping in a person's neck and they get really upset, that is the external jugular vein. Okay? Most people think, oh, that's the jugular vein. Yeah, okay, it's a significant one, but it's not as significant as, if you'll turn the page again, you'll note that there is a big circular mark, big oval mark, which marks the good stuff, okay? That is the internal jugular vein. And just interior to that, in other words, just closer to the midline behind it, it's not really clear in this black and white drawing, but like I said, if you want the color one, you'll be able to see very clearly is the, and in fact, right above where you see the circle here, you see internal carotid artery or external carotid artery. So that is just medial or interior to the external or internal jugular vein. Okay? That's the good stuff for blood. Okay? So I took some time to write out some stuff about the different kinds of anatomy. The first part was blood vessels that supply the brain. This is definitely worth reading. Just a couple of notes here. Great care should be taken. Notice I emphasized that in all 3 paragraphs. I'm practicing blood chokes. Now this is very important to note here. Great care should be taken as repeated or intense pressure on those veins can cause a disruption in the flow of blood. Even though you're letting off every time, repeated pressure on it can cause people to pass out. I've seen it happen. It's not very much fun, so we're going to have a little precaution that we take in order to, as much as we can, prevent that. Okay? With the trachea, with any air chokes that we do, once again, great care should be taken. how many people know about the anatomy of the trachea, what it looks like? Don't all raise your hands at once. Yes, so what does it look like, roughly?
Looks like what's in the picture.
Very good, okay. So you all have all looked under the hood of your car, right? And you've seen the hoses that take various fluids and things there, and they have little ribs in them. Your trachea looks roughly like that. It's a pipe, it's a tube with little ribs made of cartilage inside it. And it's very squishy. You can grab a hold of it and move it from side to side. But if you pinch it in one of those cracks, that's bad for them. So, great care should be taken when we're doing these, as cracking one of those can be really bad. And we don't want to do that in here, okay? Likewise, when you're doing, heaven forbid, if you're doing choke, an air choke on somebody for real, you need to pay attention to what you're doing so that you're doing what you want to be doing and not, oh, oops, I did the wrong thing and, oh, now their trachea is tracked. Trachea is cracked. It's walking in two versions. Okay. Now, the third part would be pain chokes. So the cervical nerves can cause pain, numbness, paralysis of the face, arm, neck, shoulder, are most easily accessed. Now, does everybody understand when I say lateral or posterior, if I use anatomical terms? Does anybody not understand that? So lateral is to the side, posterior to the back, anterior to the front, okay? So when I say it can be best accessed by directing your efforts to the lateral or even slightly posterior line of the neck to the transverse processes of the cervical vertebra, okay? Everybody knows what the vertebrae look like? You've seen those? Okay. They have little wings on the side. Those are the transverse processes. You can find those. They've got line of muscles called the scapes coming down. And all of the nerves from the neck innervating the arm come out. Look, you can see them right here. In the color diagram, they're yellow. And like I said, give me your email address, I'll send you the color diagram. Okay, so great care should be taken when doing pain chokes, because repeated compression of nerves can damage them. And that's bad, unless you're trying to. Okay? So we want to do it by, when we're doing these chokes, do them slowly cranking up the pressure until we get the motion right and we get the placement right. And if you're on the receiving end, tap early and often. Okay? We're all clear on that? Okay, cool. Yes, because they do heal, but it takes a long time. Okay? It takes a long time. Just a case in point about nerves, when I had facial surgery, the surgeon had to cut the skin away from the bone in order to get the piece of cancer out. And so I had a numb patch, like that. And I had the surgery in 2004, and the feeling's just coming back now. So they do heal, it takes a long time. Okay. Any questions so far? Sir?
I've always wanted to ask this, and I'm just going to go ahead and do it right now. What's the difference between jugular and carotid, and why is there a jugular and carotid on each side?
Okay, because redundancy is good. That's the long, short, and tall, okay? They're, the jugulars are usually referred to as the veins. The carotids are the arteries. The carotids are more interior. The jugulars are more exterior or more lateral. In other words, but just like the rest of your body, the arteries are always deep and interior, and the veins, by and large, are often more large and exterior. Does that make sense?
Carotid supplies blood to the brain.
Yep. Jugular takes it back.
Takes it back. And since you've got two lobes of the brain,
You need one on either
you
side.
need one on each side.
Thank you. However, they all come from one spot. So when blood leaves the heart, exactly, yeah, you hit it there, that's it, it's all over. When it leaves the heart, it branches up and then down slightly. So it goes down, it branches up into the carotids and both subclavians. Okay? So all that blood comes from right here. All right? So there are some people who say, well, you know, it's more effective to choke on the left or on the right, but, you know, frankly, if you get it in the right spot, you know which side, you know, they're going to happen.
So that means it's actually better to just stab them right there.
Yeah, pretty much. But that's kind of the final solution. We're looking for a submission rather than a finishing them off. Okay, so what I wanted to practice was the basics of things and practice them from a number of different positions so that we're a lot more familiar with, from different positions, these same chokes. Because, you know, there's a billion different variations on them, but the idea is that there are really only a couple of different hand positions and arm positions that work, okay? And then learning how to vary those so that we're, I guess, comfortable would be the right word, so that we're comfortable with our chokes, so that they're automatic, like we were talking about earlier, so that we can go, oh, look, there's a choke, pow, very quick, very effective. So let's start with, yeah, see, okay, so I've noted here, nearly all the techniques can be presented to be applied as either a pain, a blood, or an air choke. So it's up to you to decide. And I basically ratchet them up in that direction. Now, pain would be my first level of response if I don't get any compliance, or if it's more serious than that, I'm going to go to a blood or an air choke. Okay? That makes sense? Okay. So let's start with, before we get onto that, let's just make sure that we're familiar with the anatomy here. So this muscle here is the sternocleidomastoid, otherwise known as the SCM. And if you note in your diagrams there, that's the muscle that hides your blood vessels, your major blood vessels. Yes, there are cervical blood vessels and all that kind of good stuff, but the ones that we're really interested in are behind that muscle. Who's taking CPR? Who's taking first aid training? Yeah. And they taught you how to find the, yeah. So then what do they have you do? You find the middle, you come back, and you push it. Okay? So find your Adam's apple, come to the side, and push in, and you feel that boom, 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 boom. Yeah? Okay? That's your carotid artery.
You're dead.
You need to come in. You need to come interiorly more. Then you're a vampire. You should leave now.
He can't go on the sun.
That explains it. The sun weight loss, everything. Now, the trachea, which you'll find obviously pretty easily there, is mobile. Okay, so if you just put your fingers on one side of it, you can push it around. You can even get behind it. But you'll notice as you try to start to get behind it, it hurts. Yeah, because there's muscles, small ones, about the size of a stick of gum, that attach to your larynx, to your voice box, and allow your voice box to move up and down, and allow us to make this squeaking sound that we call talking to each other. Okay? So when you're doing a choke on the trachea, most of the time where you'll get the pain is those muscles will squeal quite loudly. They'll be very unhappy that you're doing it. Okay? Any other questions? Does that all make sense to everybody? Okay. Along with that, there are a couple of really good nerve exit points that we'll play with a little bit more in what's called the jugular notch, which is below the angle of your jaw and just interior to where your sternocleidomastoid attaches. There's a deep pit there, so if you take your finger and gently push in there, you'll feel your pulse. Now if you go just a little more interior and up, you'll start to feel pressure inside your head and a little bit of pain. There are a couple of cranial nerves that exit there and a facial nerve that exits there. Excellent, excellent, excellent spot to induce pain. Okay? Any questions about the anatomy? Nope. Okay. All right, one more thing. The cervical nerves, the nerves that innervate your arm, your shoulder, and part of your face, exit from the side of your neck between the transverse processes. Okay? They are covered by sheets of muscle called the scales, which come basically from your below your ear, and they drop straight down to where, you know, Mr. Spock, how he used to pinch people. There's actually some truth to that. He was pinching what's called the brachial plexus, which you can see on the first illustration, down at the bottom in the corner there. Can everybody find that? Brachial plexus sticking out there. Now that brachial plexus is actually surrounded by a bunch of muscle, but if you push that against the bone, ooh, boy, it stings. Okay? And what you're actually doing there is you're compressing the nerves that innervate the arm. Okay, so we'll play around with all that, but I wanted everybody to be clear on the anatomy. Any questions? No? Okay, great. Let us begin then. Can I have a volunteer? Yeah, please. Okay, we're going to start these from standing, and we're going to do them from, and you'll probably note, because you've probably already seen that what I did was, I want to explain the technique, I want to give you a couple of variations on how to do it, and then I left you space to write yourself some notes, because how I write stuff is probably different from how you're going to write stuff, so I want you to have a chance to go, oh, yeah, okay, so we did it like this, and we did it like that, and blah, blah, blah. Questions? No? Okay. All right, so we'll start with fingers inside. Fingers inside, okay? Most of the time we're going to be crossing our hands in some form in order to create a pinching motion to squeeze off whatever we're trying to impair, all right? So let's get my face feet. So for the first one, we're going to go fingers inside, okay? So palms down. I'm going to reach in deep, 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 deep. This is the common problem, that most of the time when we're trying to choke, we don't get in deep enough, okay? So I want to get in deep enough that if he's got a gi on, which is awesome, but this is California, so that probably won't happen. Although winter is coming. I'm going to get in so that I can get my thumb over the back of his trapezius muscle, okay? And grab and hold on, okay? I'm going to get this other one in here the same way, so that I have my ulna, so that I have my forearm bone against the side of his neck, okay? Now, there's lots of debate about how to make this sort of thing happen, but I find that the best is wrist action. So I'm going to do that. That's all I got to do, is that. You can squeeze, you can push, you can pull, but what I'm really trying to do here is push this into his neck. That's all I'm trying to do here. So let's make it simple and easy. And turn it. Okay? Okay, and when you're done, look him in the eye, have him take a deep breath. Good. Straightforward? One repetition, switch, check. One repetition, switch, check. Just like I did, okay? Any questions? Let's start with trying to get the blood pinched off, okay? And they'll let you know if you've got it right, okay? If you're having trouble with it, hold your hand up, I'll come around and adjust your position, okay? Thanks, Sean. Yeah, or the wall, or yeah, exactly. Just try it with the knee for now, so I'll without it. It's slightly different technique.
Instead of one elbows in.
Let's do that. When I'm here,
That was that crunching sound?
right away.
He's just got a lot of drinking.
Well, he does have a lot of trachea, but you can feel the difference here. When I come in on it and I'm not quite deep enough, now I gotta go like that, and that kind of pinches really tight. As opposed to kind of really deep.
Nice, no, I mean,
Yeah, I can feel that there too. I mean, even though you're going through this, this is residual pressure after.
No, that feels fairly facile, as it were. Okay. Let me just repeat that I want to emphasize, and I'll do this for the camera so everybody can see it, that if you push your elbows in, the X that you're making gets bigger, not smaller, okay? And what I want to emphasize here is that you use your wrists, you pull your, in this position anyway, you pull your thumbs toward you to push your ulna into their neck, okay? So if I bend my elbows and I kind of pull myself into them, yeah, it's effective, but you're not quite creating the result that you want to be creating. It's kind of I'll just throw a bunch of mud at the wall and something will happen. This is much more specific, it's faster, and it takes less effort. once you get used to the idea of I'm flexing my wrists instead of I'm trying to use my shoulders and muscle through it. Okay? Questions?
So when you're setting up your grip, you want your wrist flexed towards the little finger side.
If I can get a slight flex, that's why I want to reach in real deep, because when I reach in real deep, I do get that slight flex, and then I come right back in and bang, there it is. It pushes right into the neck. So yes. All right, let's start from the side. Thank you. Same idea. We were in front, so I want it to be here and come around to the side. Yep, there it is, right there. Okay. This is much more specific. I cannot use my right hand now, except just as a stabilizer. This is just purely a left-handed choke. All right. Get in nice and deep. Come around slightly to the side. Push that. Yep, there it is. All right. Good. Any questions? No. Let's start from the side, because then we're going to do kneeling. You take the pressure real fast. Yeah. You're tapping early enough. Good man.
With this hand, as you move that way, stabilize it against the neck.
Real deep with this one. You didn't get to see it. So here's the thing. Try to get this bone underneath his ear. There you go.
No, that's okay. That's okay. You get
And even over a little bit, so you can get around.
Yeah. It's also.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm good.
A little bit of pressure. Doesn't take much. That's what I call absolutely correct. So if I can snug it in, nice. Okay. I'm going to give you a little more time to make notes in a second. Let's go with the same idea without clothing, without having to use these other things. In the wintertime, it's great. People have a jacket or a shirt on or whatever, but what if they don't got, they just got a t-shirt on, which is pretty common these days. So, can I have another volunteer? Thompson. Okay. Now, I've been emphasizing this to a couple of people, so I'm just going to make sure that everybody understands. For this particular choke, and indeed kind of in general when you're using your hands up or down, I want to have the line of my wrist pretty much even with the line of his ear. Okay? That allows me to use that wrist action to press in where I want to get it in. Okay? So if I'm not going to use, so he's got a very nice external jugular. Can you see it right there? That's it, right there, right on top of the SCM. Okay. For this, I want to get in nice and deep again and hook his trapezius here. Okay? And then, depending on what feels more comfortable, to go over or to go under, I want to grab his other shoulder. Okay? And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to squeeze with my fingers and push my wrist in. Pull my thumb toward me. Now, we have had some discussion about, well, am I doing it this way or am I doing it that way? I want to take the thin edge of my wrist and push it in. Ratchet it in. I'm overemphasizing it here. And it's not a motion that we do a lot, but I've done it this way, I've done it this way, I've done it this way. Those all work pretty well, but this is almost instantaneous. Okay? So if I set it properly, there it is. Okay? Any questions? So try it both sides, because obviously right-handed, left-handed, it's going to feel a little different for you. Try getting over the top or underneath, but try and keep this arm straight. If you find that you're pressing in, you're not doing a blood choke. You're actually taking the pressure off of it, and you're pushing his windpipe. If you want to do that, that's great, but let's emphasize what I think is probably the more difficult one, which is just going after the blood chokes. Okay? So work that wrist action, get your hand in nice and deep. Got it? Okay. The method to my madness will become a little clearer later, is that when you get these positions down, then when you're on the ground, when you're kneeling, when you're prone, when they're on you, when you're on them, you'll go, oh, right, there's my choke. Bang! And it's quick and it's easy because you learned the positions that work. Okay? So we're practicing it standing because it's easier to practice it standing, and there's not so much like where do I put my leg and all that sort of stuff. Okay? Does that make sense? So, no, I would never do this choke, just standing there. Unless, of course, I'd kind of knock them silly first. Okay? That makes sense? Okay. Did everybody get a chance to practice that one? Okay. Good. All right, so let's go to, actually, let me just give you a few minutes to make a note or two if you need to, and then we'll go to a different one. So let's do thumbs inside now. The action will be very similar, although completely opposite, if that makes any sense at all, in that you'll be reaching deep again. So can I have another picture, please? And let me face this way so the camera can see what I'm doing here. In that I'm going to come underneath and get the line of my wrist in line with his ear. Grab that key and straighten my wrist out. In other words, I don't want to leave it like this. That's a very weak position for your arm. I want to have the bones of my hand and my forearm lined up because that allows me to use that lateral cranking motion. Okay? Same motion as you use to smack somebody with a stick. Okay? And reach in deep. Get a good grip. I like coming under, you might like going over, get what you feel good with, and then, there it is right there. That's all I'm really looking for is that. Okay, he's got me. All right? Same thing I'm doing here is I'm not going like this, I'm coming in like this. I'm taking the thin edge of my radius and coming with that into that venous space. What in bodywork circles we call the danger triangle, okay? Formed by the trachea, the sternocleidomastoid, and the angle of the jaw. You see there's a little triangle there? They call that a client endangerment area. But we're going to use it because it is, okay? Opposite sides of the coin. Nice and deep, get underneath. Now, I'm not squeezing, I'm not pushing my elbows in, I'm just using my wrist, and it's pretty quick, isn't it? Yeah. Okay? If I do this, it flattens out, and it might work, but I'm also getting closer to it. I don't really like that. This is just so much more quick and effective. Okay? Yeah? All right. Okay, let's practice. Same idea, just different action. Now, can you do this one without clothing? It's a little more difficult. I suppose you could wrap around the back of their head, but yeah, it's so much easier to use it this way. Okay. I want you to have just a minute to try this one from the side, like we were doing before. So get it in there, step out, grab that opposite shoulder, and pull it in. Okay, does that make sense? So I'm out of the direct line if I need to be. This will all become clear when we start doing these on the ground. But I want you to get the position right. Okay? So give it a try like that, and we'll move on to everybody's favorite long and shorts. Okay? We're focusing on getting the blood to shut off. You know, a lot of us have probably learned how to do chokes by just, shut everything off. Shut the wind off, shut the blood up, make it hurt, everything like that. And what do you get when you do that?
A lawsuit.
A lawsuit. Yeah, yet they might die, which is bad. The immediate reaction you get from them, though, is panic. They freak. Even if, they're semi-conscious to begin with, you shut somebody's wind off, you get that reaction. But if you can shut somebody's blood off, and they can still breathe, they will go out breathing. It's a lot more simple. So take the time to make sure that you're getting from your partner, they'll feel boom, boom, boom in their head, but they'll still be able to breathe. Okay? So be very specific in your technique. All right? All right, off you go. Don't get me wrong. Being able to do all three, being able to cause somebody extreme pain, being able to cause, to shut off somebody's air, and being able to shut off somebody's blood, and being able to do it as you want, is really important, as far as I'm concerned. First of all, it keeps you guys safer. That's the main thing, because you can say, all right, this guy needs to go out and fast, and if I can shut off his blood flow, bang, it will go out very fast. The air thing, is probably, depending on what kind of shape they are and how long you've been banging on each other, Could be 30 seconds, a minute. That's a long time, especially if you're struggling and making all kinds of weirdness and all like that. But if you shut off somebody's blood flow, 7 to 10 seconds. It's fast. It's really fast. And if you really know what you're doing, it's even quicker.
And in a real life situation, the difference between 10 seconds and 20 seconds is a lifetime.
I tell you. Yeah, and you see, yeah, well, you've had that experience too, where it's like, how long was it ago? It seemed like hours. It was 3 or 4 seconds. Seriously. Somebody's flailing at you. It's really, you want to have that specificity. You want to be able to get them down, get it out, get it done as quickly as possible. Right? Okay. Any questions so far on that wrist action? Get your positioning. I know it's a little bit different than what we're used to. We're all used to kind of efforting through it. So this is a little bit of an adjustment. So let's do something just slightly different now. Thank you. So we did fingers inside, we did thumbs inside. Now we're going to do what I like to call a one long and one short. Okay? And we've kind of been messing with that a little bit because if we get one hand in and maybe we don't have the right position, this would be an example of one long and one short. Okay? So I've got one long, I've got one deep, I've got one short. Not so deep. Okay? Let's try one that's slightly different now. All right? So I'm going to grab his gi and turn my hand into it and bring this one short and push in with my knuckles and my wrist. All right? Okay? So this is a rolling action. Right? I'll show on the other side here. I'm going to grab, just a nice stiff gi. Good. And I come in short here, so I'm a little tug and I roll in. Okay? You can still breathe. Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, any questions about that one? One long and one short. I'm going to give you another one too, so you can play with that too. Here, as a chisel, roll in there, step to the side and push in. Yeah. That one will cut off all kinds of things. You can make this one hurt, you can make this one cut off blood, and you can push on people's windpipes with this one. So be careful with this one, about how you're coming in, okay? I'm going to step off to the side, turn me a little bit so I don't get my back to the camera. It's a bit messy. Yeah. Any questions? You got 2 to try? No? Great, go for it.
So you're placing, you're just holding on here, and you're taking wherever here.
So this one you want to get
This is just simply tightening this in.
Step over to me. There it is. See the difference there? Because you've cinched it, and then you push in.
Because if I'm pulling and pushing that way, this is the twist hand, whereas if I step off, I want to have to pulling down the lever.
It's not a big muscle job. This is what really gives you the juice, right?
Oh, yeah.
You told me right here.
Like the first time, but then you were like, same thing. And then you were like,
It's hard to get inside.
it's okay.
Yeah, see,
Cinch this one. That's good.
how effective this is.
Further back here.
Around this one, is you can
I've got my beer back.
maybe this will help. Okay. Let's just talk anatomy for a second. Okay. If you look at the front, from the front of the neck, you've got the body of the cervical spine, and really, the biggest one is about the diameter of a quarter. They're very small, which is surprising if you think about how big your head is. But anyway, and then off the side of that, you've got these 2 little wings. Okay, so essentially you've got a backstop here. So you've got the transverse processes of the cervical spine, and then you've got the trachea sitting in front of those. Okay, now right here, right inside those, is where the blood vessels are. Okay. okay? So you've got all of the superficial muscles and the deep muscle and all that, all protects those, okay? So if I want to get at those, especially with this choke, I need to come in at about a 45-degree angle, okay? Does that make sense? So when I'm doing this, I'm not facing directly front. I'm getting my hand in and I'm turning slightly so that my angle comes in, not straight, but at about 45 degrees. So I can push the trachea to the side a little bit, because I heard a little bit of coughing, that's going a little more straight in. You come to the side just a little bit, you miss the trachea, it just pushes to the side slightly, and you can smash those arteries and vessels right up against the back of the front of the spine. That make sense?
What we were observing, we, of course, we come up front, we're choking. Get further back than 45 degrees, we're feeling a lot of pain. I mean,
Yes.
the other ones, they're all uncomfortable, but we're
Yes.
actually feeling sharp pain further on the side.
Excellent. Good observation. Remember what I was saying before about nerves that innervate your arm, and on the diagram there, you saw the brachial plexus, and you get around to the side, that's what you're pushing on. If you all take your thumbs gently and come down from your ears and just roll your thumbs lightly down your ears, you'll feel it kind of rocking back and forth a little bit. You can feel your trapezius back there. And then if you come forward, you can feel your SCM. But right in the middle, there's a line of usually pretty stiff musculature right there. Pretty stiff musculature right there. Those are called your scales, okay? Right there. Those. Yeah, you got it, it's those. It's this musculature right here, yeah, that you're on. And if you rub on it, it's a little uncomfortable. They're very, very thin muscles that run the length of your spine, and they're lateral stabilizers. Right underneath those is where all of the nerves branch out of your spine to innervate your face, and your arms, and your shoulders, okay? This particular set, these one long, one shorts, especially if you roll those knuckles in and you come around the side, if you go down at the base, right there, you can push in pretty good right there, and you can feel it kind of almost like a buzzing pain. That's a sign of you're impinging on a nerve. If you get a good buzzing pain, you want to come right, yeah, that's it right there. Yeah. Okay. You come forward, you can feel just a little bit of a pulse. And you come right behind that. Because that, actually, if you push hard enough, that's your first rib. And those muscles all attach to your first and second ribs. Okay? If you pin those down, pin those back against the processes of the spine, if you hit it just right, you'll actually feel weird sensations in your arm too. You have to find a different spot. I think that's what you're hitting. You're hitting those spinal nerves as they come out. Which at that point they're peripheral, but you understand what I'm saying. You can get good pain compliance that way. You can get really good pain compliance. In fact, we've all seen that. The Tommy choke where you come around, you squeeze and pull in at the side of the neck, come around from the side. That's what you're doing. Is you're pushing those nerves against the side and against the spine. Did you? So just play with the angle. Yes, it's good, and come a little more medium to get the angle right. Any other questions? Feels pretty straightforward. You guys are finding those blood vessels and getting that response a little bit. Okay, everybody still feeling fairly okay? All right. Let's do just one of these. Let's do a long and short from the back, and then I think we'll probably have to leave nakeds till Sunday, okay? So, can you use you? Let's have you turn around for me.
Mark.
Now, a long and short, okay? So I'm going to come around long and deep, and get my thumb in deep, okay? Now notice my position here, and that I've, once again, pretty much put my wrist underneath his ear. Okay? And short, so I want this one here. And now I'm not going to go like this, because what's going to happen? Well, I stress his gi, but I'm also going to press right up against his windpipe. Okay? In fact, let's do this, let's make this easy. Can you go down on one knee? Yeah, just one knee. Here, hit deep. I want this one short. Okay? I'm gonna just stabilize here. I'm gonna push my wrist in. There it is. I'm not cranking, I'm not pulling, because that's gonna pull on his windpipe, okay? You can do that, that's fine, but let's be specific here. Let's get in, keep your head down. And there it is. See his hand go up, that's fine. I know I got it, okay? Can you see that? Yes. Can I have another victim, please? One side, thank you. Okay. So, come in deep. Secure yourself. Come in short. Twist your wrist. Just push that wrist. Okay? I'm not trying to cut off his wind here. If my elbow moves, I'm pushing on his windpipe. Here, just stabilize it. Push it. That's all I need. Okay? Questions? Okay, let's run that one. Then we'll have a few minutes for questions, and that'll be lunchtime.
Right, they look like this, but it wasn't something. You want to take any more? Or you want to switch? Come up deep. Yeah, just around.
Yeah, you seem to be pulling back.
It took you a while.
Because I would want to.
Instead of none of them's here.
As opposed to the first time, it was very effective. Yeah, that's how it works. Well, you can try from the other, from the other side. You see, when you do this.
Get in there nice and deep.
Hey, didn't choke by you.
I love it.
Oh, man. Yeah, so you gotta find what we did.
Yeah, that was
10 years. Just when I went in with the patches.
I go to these cleaners with an Asian old lady.
Yeah, I felt it worked.
$10. I I've tried to do it myself.
I did it myself in the last. I did one pass and I gave up.
$20.
That's right across the street.
Huh?
You're coming across the wind. Around here, a little more. Now think about.
Let me give you that. Get the skin.
You've got it. Okay, that's it.
There, that's it.
Just a couple of times. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're good.
This is a matter of getting deeper. So you're like
3, 4, 5 times? Yeah.
Let's do it again.
I want to avoid.
And just for me, because I'm funny this way, I'm kind of turning into it to give it to you. If you want to go deeper, I'm certain.
Get in there and stabilize it. Just
Okay, on the side here.
You all right, Mark?
No, they had it.
You got it.
Hold it.
You're doing it right.
Okay, count backwards to 100 and by
60 for purple.
Deep, that's it, get on there. Just a little wrist action.
It's across the front.
Yeah, I didn't even have my good grip on that one. It was
The shoulder.
Yeah,
Well,
here, wait till
the shoulder.
Yeah, that
Just gonna do my elbow.
one. Good.
My elbow gets in the way if you do it too much. I want a pin. In fact, I don't even really the other. Just like that. Okay? Yeah.
It's getting, it's a little harder.
Nice and deep. Put your elbow down. That's it.
Thank you.
Pin that elbow down. Keeps you from trying to over muscle.
You're getting like in here.
So instead of doing
You're not getting like up in there.
I want to get down lower. This is harder to do.
Yes, that's been my problem. I'm trying to push up and down. It's not.
Yeah, and you don't need to.
Oh, yeah, I'm fine. But that one had, that one.
Plus,
That one was.
their first reaction when you go to get around them
Yeah.
is they're going to drop their chin. So if I can learn how to do this low, I get anybody.
Go.
Yeah, absolutely. Emphasize this again. If you're trying to get the choke up high underneath the line of the jaw, it's effective. It will work. And more often than not, if somebody has any training at all, or even if they still have kind of their wits about it, if you go to set a choke, they're going to drop their chin. They're going to go, oh, he's trying to choke me. So if you can learn how to get the choke right above the collarbone, if you can set it in low and choke them out there, you're a huge advantage because you don't have to work so hard. You can get a choke and they won't think, he's just, oh yeah, it hurts, but he's a good night. Okay? So once again, we're trying to get really specific in how we're thinking about and how we're visualizing the anatomy and how we're working the mechanics so that we get exactly the effect that we want. Do we want them to, be up on their toes crying for their mommy because it hurts? Or do we want them to just go lights out? Or do we want that initial panic attack or that initial, whoa, because you shut off their air, because it stops them from whatever aggression that they're up to. So do you understand my reasoning behind really making a distinction between what you're trying to achieve with your chokes, with your pain holds? Does that all make sense?
Okay.
Good. And do you all understand that wrist action idea? I know it takes a little getting used to, but once you get it, as I saw once you guys get that wrist action, it's quick, isn't it? It's really fast. So any questions, any comments, any you guys are still, obviously you've got a whole other set of goodies on Sunday, so I'll continue on with this idea. But I wanted you to get the mechanics and the idea of it while we were standing so that we can do different things about lying down and submissions and that sort of thing next time. Yes?
On many of these, what we were noticing is that the position in hand, that being able to get the hand in really deep so it's on the side and not the front made the difference between its, whether it really is a blood choke or across the trachea. Of course, in a real life situation, it's going to be hard to get that specific. You're going to have to pretty much go with what you.
You're going to have to go with what you got. Exactly. No, I totally understand. And still being able to go, if I can just get in a little deeper, or if I can peel his head back just a little bit, so I can get that hand in there a little bit more. Absolutely. Yeah, but don't get me wrong. If it ever comes down to it, take whatever you can get. Just take whatever you can get. Anything else? No? All right, good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That I learned from Seki and Albrocious. And in spite of my attempts to clear up typo errors or abbreviated instructions, the last time I went through this, which is when I put it into a database, I think, I thought I had fixed all these things and taken care of the left and right issue, but you see, it doesn't always work that way. And so what I ended up with is a number of techniques that you look at it and say, how in the hell are you going to do that technique? Because it just doesn't make any sense. So I had Byron and Mark and Chris and Thomas. Did you get any of those?
No.
Okay. And Steve Castorena and Mark Tucker. They each got a group of 100 techniques, and they were supposed to go through them. And any technique that didn't make sense, all they had to do was check it off. They didn't have to come up with a solution to make it work or anything. Now, both Mark and Byron did go in and say, they tell me specifically, is this right here? Or Byron, in some cases, would make some correction comments, should this have yada, yada, yada. And I haven't looked at Byron's yet because I got his yesterday. So that'll be the next time. There is no way I'm going to complete this today and tomorrow. Okay. We could do this for the next several weekends, and there's a chance, but we all have other things to do. So what I'm going to do, okay, I'm going to go through the first as many as I can today. Okay, I'm going to give you an assignment. Oh, jeez. Okay. But what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to go what we haven't covered yet. And if the technique doesn't make
doesn't make a sense to you. If a technique doesn't make sense to you, just put a circle around it or star next to it, and tomorrow we'll just work our way and go through those techniques, because some of these are rewritten now and they make sense, and you can picture them in your mind. There's no sense really me doing them in class because you probably have it right. Okay, so I don't know whether that would help matters or help us cover more. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I would like to see us make some sort of dent in this list, so that next year's list, which will be just as well. By the way, the space is the break we're taking in about 20 minutes. No. So, okay. So, and the way we're going to do this essentially is, and you can take notes on here. There may have to be additional corrections made. If someone takes notes, I'd appreciate getting them at some point. Someone gets to read this technique as I do it for the first time, just so that we're all following along. Because once you get into the way my mind is functioning, then maybe some of these directions may make more sense to you. Okay, so I'm not just going to say, okay, this is 201 and I do 201. Okay, so if someone would like to,
I'll read them.
and I need a uke. Who wants to be uke? We can switch uke. Okay, if I already uke, you're going to be uke on the first one. What's the attack?
201, side throw, yokonage from a double wrist grab.
To right. Left and right.
Left and right to right.
Okay.
Your right hand reaches to his left side to get him off balance. Your right foot steps to his left at the same time. Pivot your left foot back and bring your right hand down at the same time.
Okay. So theoretically, we're supposed to have, I'm supposed to pivot back and bring this down. Okay.
An alternate technique is to have your right hand go clockwise over his grasp, thus locking his wrists as you pivot your left foot back and bring your right hand down, thus completing the circular movement.
Okay. This one, which is probably more likely to be successful, is you're going to come in, this hand's going to come over, trap, bring this, hold on good. He has to hold on. It's one of those T techniques, okay? So he's going to hold on good, and I bring this hand over, and then as a pivot, go down. Okay. If he were to hold on really well this way, and I just stepped in, and once I sense that resistance switch and go this way, I can also go down. But what it's trying to do is two things. Okay. One, at some point, when you move, you're going to sense his resistance. And once you sense his resistance, he wants to go that way. And at that point, okay, you need to switch the direction to where he wants to go, and you need to move this leg out of the way so you can redirect his energy. But he has to keep hold. If he lets go, you've got nada. Okay? Any questions on this? Because we're going to have to try it.
Well, if we're trying to get inside your head so we can better understand these, clockwise meant from his point of view.
It's from my, counterclockwise is from my point of view.
Was it
Yeah,
counterclockwise or clockwise?
but it says clockwise, so it should be.
An alternate technique is to have your right hand go clockwise, which is where I would fall down on that one.
Yeah,
If I'm pivoting my left foot back, I'm
Counter.
going to go counter.
Yeah, that wouldn't work. That wouldn't work going in this way because, well, if you want to make a different technique, you can, but then you're going to have to do a nice Mayukimi. So we can
Shall we say counterclockwise?
counterclockwise, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's pulling, you're stepping in to get resistance, and then your right hand is going to go over his, did we say his right hand or his left hand?
Over
Actually,
his
it's called
grasp.
both, so it doesn't
Over
matter.
his grasp, so you're here and moving out of the way.
And locking his wrist.
That was a problem with that in a lot of
Yeah.
these,
Yeah.
clockwise and
Counterclockwise,
counterclockwise.
yeah,
are
you
mixed up.
have, I mean, once you find out the things that may need to change, the counterclockwise, clockwise,
Yeah.
right, left are the two major issues, I think.
Mhm.
Okay, so it should be counterclockwise.
Got
Okay.
it. Noted.
So we're gonna have you try this a couple times. And again, the intent of the technique is to get you, when he's pulling and you step in, is a sense when he starts, when he resists. And then at that point, you come over, get out of the way. It's a pure Aikido technique. Okay.
At least they would claim it that way.
Pardon?
They would claim it that way.
Aikido people would, yes. It's just, yeah, okay.
Who was here first, that's all I got.
Who was here first? That depends on who's on second. Okay, what's on second? Okay, so, Jared's gonna show this one to us. And
What are we doing, cookie lesson?
he's going to drink his power drink at the same time.
Yeah, don't spill your drink.
Okay, don't spill your drink. Okay, so.
It's a one-handed throw,
It's
so
a
you'll be fine.
one-handed throw, yes.
Should I put my bag down?
Yes.
Yeah, if you can do it with the bag and the drink, it's an automatic promotion.
But without spilling, so, all right, right hand.
Saudi American Bank. Okay, let's go. Now, borrow for Byron here, since he's nice enough to volunteer. Okay, you need to watch what my body is doing. Okay, some of you are coming out here, I'm not even gonna deal with the first one. So the second one, you're coming in okay, we're doing this, getting it over, and then you are bending over, okay? And when you bend over, you lose all your ki and all your leverage, okay? Even if you bring this leg back and you bend over, now we go to Byron's tripod concept, and you're gonna fall on your honorable head, okay? Have Byron tell you about the tripod concept, okay, rule of 3. Okay, what you want to do is you need to respect your body, okay? When he's pulling, and you come in here and you sense that resistance, and you bring this over and this leg back, this hand is going to come down ideally to your left side. I'm not bending over, okay? If you bend over, you lose all the ki flow or, off balancing ability, because now when you bend over, you're compensating for his being off balance. You're letting him regain his balance. Don't, he's got enough problems. Give him another one. Okay. So I want you to get back up. Just try this once or twice more, and just bring it out like this. Okay. It's like you're reaching across for your sidearm to pull it out, and then figure out whether it's a taser or service involved.
Hopefully you can remember.
Okay. You will realize you're doing 2 circles, okay? And with Jiu-Jitsu, you always have to think circular and roundabout manner. Okay. This here is 1 circle, okay? The fact that I am pivoting around creates a second circle, and you'll notice that's why he's coming around. And you notice because I'm having him go in this direction, but he thinks he's going to go in that direction, and by me turning and bringing this down to here, he loses his tripod, or he loses his balance, or he loses his balance or ability to step, right? I'm still being Italian. Okay. So that's why
for lunch?
Yes, I did.
There you go.
Okay. Can't get anything done. Okay. Who wants to read the second one? The second one.
Number 203, quick throw, kukonagi, wrist grab to both hands. Get your left hand loose. Your right hand turns counterclockwise so that his left wrist is perpendicular to the ground. Your left hand then rests on the top of his left hand and holds it in place. Pivot your left foot back and bring his locked wrist across to your left at the same time and down in a circular motion if necessary.
And just hold it on. It's the same technique as last time, it's a little bit different grip. So this should be easy for you. So all we're doing here, you've got 2 hands, okay, and whatever you have to do to loosen up, love tap, okay, bring this hand up, look at you and say, oh, I'm going to read my palm. This hand is going to come over. Thumb is over, really important, okay. Rest is here so he cannot take his hand away. That's the only reason you're putting this hand here, okay. Now, I could, if I wanted to go straight down, I could do that, and that'll just break his wrist, and we're done with it, okay? But I want you to do the same circular motion where you're pivoting around, and you're bringing your hand down to your left side, okay? And notice, and you did it finally the last time. If you sense that you might have to bend over, bend your legs, okay? Let your legs be the shock absorber so that you can retain your balance. Okay, and once you get the hang of doing that, you're going to find a lot of your circular movement techniques or other techniques are going to work a lot better because you're not trying to keep your legs straight. Let them be the shock absorbers. Okay, so let's get up and try this one. Couple, 3 times a week. Okay, one of the I'll mention things as I pick up and see what you're doing and some of your other problems. It is really critical. Anytime you're doing any type of technique, you always look in the direction you're going. Okay, you weren't the only one that was doing it. And you don't look at your attacker. If you're focused on your attacker or where your hands are in relation to the throw, you can't turn your head. If you can't turn your head, you can't turn your body. If you can't turn your body, you can't move your feet. Okay, so always look in the direction you're going. As I say in class, once the person is down, get out your cell phone, take a picture of them, you're done. Because that's better than being an eyewitness. Yeah. Okay.
No, I hadn't thought of that one. That's a
Because a person gets a good defense attorney, even though you were the victim of getting beaten up or something like that, that attorney can prove that his client was not the person that attacked you. I mean, they come up with all sorts of stuff. So, but once you take it out, click.
Prove the man was not the one who raped the woman, right?
Right. I mean, that's the proof. It's in the picture. Okay. Okay.
And also, most cell phones these days have GPS data.
Right. Yes. And then GPS data, time, place. Okay, and you got him. He can't say it was someplace else. Okay. Next one.
210. Cross choke with scissors. Juji Shimihana Hasami.
Scissor. Okay, Byron, have a seat.
You want me to sit over here?
No, we're right here. Oh. Okay.
Okay, so this is a submission if he pushes back while you're doing rear cross choke number 81.
Whatever cross choke is. This is going to be our cross choke. Okay. For the
Okay.
Okay.
So if he pushes back while you're doing
He's going to push back. Okay, it's really basic.
So
I'm going to scissor.
fall back and go into a scissor around his body. Don't let go of the rear cross choke with your left hand as you use it if the attacker tries to get out of the hasami. You can attack nerves with your right hand and ease up pressure on the scissors. If he tries to turn to the left and get up, ride him and go back to the rear cross choke.
It won't happen if you're holding on to the choke. Okay. Okay, now, scissors. Hey, we're just going to try this in. Scissors, as far as creating pain or injury or anything like that, is absolutely useless. Your legs are not built to do that, okay? It's a good way to hold a person in place, and that's about the limit, okay? There are a lot of easy ways to get out of scissors, even if the guy's wearing shoes, okay? But it's a good way to hold a person. If you're going to apply a scissor, if you can, get below the rib cage. Okay? If you scissor on the ribs, yeah, it may hurt them a little bit, but that's about the limit of it. Okay? It's going to get uncomfortable. You're not going to crush their ribs. Okay? So because your legs are not meant to go this way. They're meant to flex in and out. And the only way you can apply pressure is by straightening them out. But even that's, again, the only thing you do is hold them down. The fact that I haven't cross-choked, even one-handed, is what's keeping him from turning away. It will also keep him from turning in, okay? Because my body's in the way, okay? So he's fairly well stuck. Now, if you're in a street situation, you get into this, I would not keep this, okay?
Because what are you gonna do, lie here for 20 minutes until the local gendarmes arrive, okay, or his friends, okay? So at this point, if you get him down here, okay, I would, without a doubt, choke him out, okay, if I could. Or if I felt that wasn't working, I would let go and nail him a few times.
Right in the goodies, yeah.
Yeah, and then reset and then choke him out, okay? Because you're really set to nail this puppy, okay? And please, when you teach this, don't have people look, there's no way you can see where this foot is gonna go. Not unless you have a really long neck. But you all know human anatomy, you know about where things are, and anything you get below the belly button is gonna cause some serious pain and probably some serious injury. Okay, so just whack away a couple, 3 times. Okay, but this is a nice pin. You know, he doesn't have any friends around. Okay, so we're just gonna have you. I don't know what was difficult about that technique.
Probably just that it was turned around.
The what?
Probably just that it was turned around.
Well, we don't have what the original said, so.
Oh,
You already
Right.
made the corrections, right?
yeah, these are just the corrections.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there
Yeah.
shouldn't be any difference.
And there actually are some techniques, and they were part of the end of the technique came before the first part of the technique. Don't ask me how that happened. But you picked up on 2 or 3 of them, and I fixed those.
Yeah, it's like the sentences were
Yeah,
mixed up.
yes.
As
Okay,
soon as knowledge is not an evidence, you're right.
right, okay. Okay, so I want you to try this. If there are other things to do, if you're in a rear choke and the person pushes against you to try and knock you backwards, there are a couple other things you can do. But that's not what we're gonna worry about today. I just want you to do this one technique, okay? So get your partner, grab my little left hand around his little left neck, okay? I wanna go as high as I can go, because when I come underneath in here and then pull, I've got a really nice tight choke, and I haven't applied any pressure yet, okay? So you want as high as you don't need to, you don't need to come around so that your hand comes around to the right side of his neck, but you want to get as high as you can. You just reach around. If he's got a sweatshirt, this will work. Jacket will work. Gi will work. People don't wear gis on the street. A t-shirt, this might work for a little bit if it's a good quality t-shirt. Okay.
Chest hair.
Pardon?
Chest hair.
Chest hair will work.
That's why I
Okay. But you've got to reach around, and if it's a t-shirt, you grab a bunch of t-shirt, because the more t-shirt you grab, the less likely it is to tear. Okay? You always have to be aware of what this person is wearing or not wearing. Okay? If he's not wearing a shirt, there's no way you're going to do this submission unless you can grab his skin and rip up. That's not going to happen. Yes, sir.
I just very humbly, I wanted to know if I could add something.
Sure.
Okay. So, one way where this gets an application is you're actually trying to do a trachea choke or a blood choke from behind. Your hand is already here. And so your hand is on the lapel, and whatever happens, say his right hand comes up, gets my thumb, gets whatever, go ahead and, so he brings that off. My left hand is still here on the lapel. So what I'm going to do is come around. And that's just, it's basically, and the beauty of it is as Sensei Kirby is teaching, you come up high, and that's what makes it effective. Well, if you're already here, for whatever reason, and he's distracted because he's dealing with this hand and you can come around, then
you can do it one-handed.
Then you set up this choke. So it's you're already high if you start from the switch around.
Yeah.
It just looks kind of complicated with the switch around.
It's just a little head operation. Okay, and I'm not that interested. Just you don't need to hold the choke that tight because I want him conscious. And you're going to take him back down and you're going to splay it down. The advantage, don't hold the choke down. The advantage of splaying the person, okay, is particularly if your legs are long enough where you can actually hook your feet. And I've seen some people hook their feet under the legs. Okay,
This is not nice to Mr. Antonio. Okay. Okay. What it does, once you are able to splay him, okay, it keeps his body in that position. Okay. His legs are useless, his arms are useless. He's stuck in that position, and you can reach back and pull that choke, and it makes the choke even more effective because his body is stuck. If you're Hasamiing him, just scissoring him and pulling back, his body can come up on your torso because the scissor isn't really keeping his body in place, it's just keeping it down. Are you following what I'm saying?
Hey,
Okay, so it's just something to be aware of. Okay?
also the position you end up on the ground here, notice how he's almost, parallel
Yes.
with me here. In this position, I would prefer to do this than this.
Yes.
Because here, he can
Yes.
still grab feet.
Yeah, you can get it parallel, you can,
Yeah.
and
But
your feet along.
if I go down and I'm more sideways, then I wouldn't mind doing that.
Right.
Because then it's a lot harder for him to grab
Yes.
my feet or ankles.
Get
So,
the leverage.
right.
Right. So just something to be aware of that doesn't show up in any note.
Number 211, diamond fist chin jabs.
Oh, that's easy one. What's the attack?
She can front choke and his chin tucked in, blocking his head.
Oh, yes. Who wants to be volunteer for this one?
Somebody
Okay,
beside fire.
this is called this is called an annoyance technique, okay? And this is a shiken. Not to be confused with chicken. Shiken, okay? And what he's gonna do, he's gonna be choking me, okay? But he's gonna have his chin down, right? And I can't get to his throat, okay? And that's all this was. So he's gonna choke, he's gonna pull your chin down. And all you have to do is come in and you start jabbing. Okay? And that's all it is. That's all the technique is. Okay? You just have to make don't make it a solid jab, just short little jabs. It's annoying as hell. Okay, and that's all it is. Yes, sir.
It says under his chin.
Yeah, under his chin. You're aiming for under his chin.
Oh, sorry, didn't see it. Wrong
Yeah.
angle.
Yeah, you're trying under, and you're trying to under chin. Yeah, it annoys. It really doesn't hurt. It's sort of the same concept for those of you who have learned to, you're doing a hand throw and the person's down submission, instead of doing a wrist lock or arm locking, you stick your heel in their armpit and start vibrating it, and they start laughing, which is a natural reaction. How can I be hurting this guy? You attack me with a knife, he's laughing. I'm not hurting him. And it's the same concept here. You're getting under, it's just annoying. Doesn't really hurt, it's just annoying, and it forces the person back and out of the choke. Okay, so I want this person to come in, try and choke you reasonably well. Okay, and he sees you, and you're just going to come in and just put it under there. Now, inversely, if you didn't want to go shiken, you could also do it again. You could come up underneath your fingers and just. Oh, I'm sorry. That's all right. But the problem with that, you have a tendency to scratch unless your nails are really short, and you're going to go up that way. It has a tendency to slip off. That's why this is better, because this will just keep going. Okay, so now you got sliced up chin. Not really, but okay. Okay, so just want you to try this a couple, 3 times. It's a no-brainer. Just okay. Next one.
Elbow forward, pull, rear throw. Hiji Ushiro Nage. From an overhead club attack.
Okay, overhead club. We don't have an overhead club. Okay. Oh, I know. We can simulate it.
Byron
The weapon master. That man has a zipper. See the zipper on that bag?
It's a cool bag.
It's a cool bag. Okay, you're burning it. Okay. Overhead club.
Okay, block his attack with a GG cross block. Grab his right wrist
Okay,
with your
one
left.
thing, because this happened last night with the guy who was testing for purple. When you have students that are doing cross-blocking for any technique, they should never reach. This guy was it Carlos?
Yes.
They weren't there. Okay. And he had to reach up to get this. And I didn't have a chance to talk to him afterwards. But you always need, when doing a cross-block, you need to be in a good position where your legs can act as
Spring
absorbers. Okay? And so if he's taller than you are, rather than trying to reach up there, you step in, but you've got to keep the legs bent. Okay, so we all know that, though.
All right. Grab his right wrist with your left hand. Your right hand strikes his right elbow with a knife edge strike to get it to bend. If he has a sleeve, grab the sleeve from underneath with your right hand and pull it to you. Pull it to you. If he has no sleeve, shape your hand into a cupped position under his elbow so that his elbow rests in the palm of your hand. Pull his right elbow to you as you hold his wrist in place or push it back.
That's all it is.
Yep.
And if we do it faster, I do here, 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 here. Okay, shoulder lock, rotate that. If you want to make it faster, see, today I would get rid of that knife edge hit. To me, that's what's it going to get you. Okay. Be here, here, grab. The thing is, you're moving in this direction. You're not going towards it.
You're backing up to get him to fall.
You're backing up and you're pivoting the left foot back and you're turning. Okay, what you've done on your first two techniques, same footwork. Okay, one of the things that you may start, black belts may want to start looking at, okay, because you start doing at some point, there is, once you get your footwork down, and you realize the commonality of movements, this is the same essential movement as for a hand throw that you learned for green belt. It's basically the same technique. All you're doing is instead of going like this, you're going like this. Okay, it's almost an identical movement. And one of the things I'm starting to do now is I'm looking at techniques in terms, not in terms of what the attack is or how their body moves, but how does my body move? And it really cuts down on the number of techniques that you are having to learn or what have you. It really starts to simplify things.
Can I make one other point?
Yes.
Okay, in this one, he's showing it with the G block here. You said grab his wrist with your left hand, and what you did, you pull this out and grab. Okay, that's an extra step too. That's good. And it still works the same way.
Okay.
So you're not losing contact by pulling this out and then trying to grab it. You just simply slip it down. Then you got it this way.
The difference is which hand is above which.
Right. You're not coming out and grabbing it. You're just simply slipping it and you're grabbing it this way, thumb down, rather than this way you come up and end up with the same.
I think what I'm trying to do by doing this here is I'm trying to control his wrist. And if you grab this way, you don't have this. It's a different control.
Yeah, but you're taking him back that way anyway. So.
I'm taking him back this way anyway, but it's just, it's me, it's what you.
For me, it just cuts out a step.
Yeah, okay.
It cuts out a step.
So anyway, like you come out, try this. It's, what is it called again?
Hiji, Hiki, Ushidonage.
No, he's going backwards. Yeah. Okay, very good. Let's try this 2 times a piece. Okay, next one.
Right, number 214, hand winding throw, Te no Makikomi, from a rear grab around the waist.
Okay, cool. Let's borrow Antonio because he's been sitting here all relaxing.
Yes.
Okay. So around the waist?
Yes.
Okay.
Have your right foot forward to match his hand, which is on top.
See, right hand puts it on top.
Right hand, people. Of his grip around the waist. Grab the fingers from his top hand with your right hand. Keep your right arm tight against his arm and bend his fingers back to release his grip.
Okay. You're here. Rub your nose. Okay. You're here. You're going to bend a couple fingers back. Keep it down to your side.
Maintaining the grip on his fingers, pivot to his side, turn his wrist counterclockwise in a big arc to throw. His wrist must be bent.
Okay, let's try this again here. Okay. Here. I grab it this way. I'm going to try grabbing it 2 different ways.
But it's kind of hard to get.
This way? Yes. Smash your foot. Okay, here. Okay. Bring this down, bring this over. Oh, yeah. There we are.
But that's clockwise.
But that works.
That's clockwise.
Rewrite it.
That's clockwise, and what did I say?
Counterclockwise.
Try it counterclockwise. Okay, here. Gonna bring it down here, and then we're gonna go counterclockwise.
Looks like it's clockwise.
Around the other way.
Looks clockwise to me. It says counterclockwise in here.
No way, Jose.
No way.
This isn't gonna work this way.
George?
Yes.
There's your reference right there. So look at that.
Friends like that, it gets enemies.
It's a dyslexic clock.
Right.
Keep it down here, just bring it up, and you need to continue this motion, okay? If you stop out here, he's gonna bend over and wonder what you're doing. Okay, so continue the motion. Okay? Any questions? Now, in all fairness, some tech, like this one, I would probably never use this out on the street. Okay? There's a concept in there somewhere, and that's probably how to get, how to this, get out. And this gets you out of this situation, and now there are a lot of other things you can do from here. Okay, this is just one of them. Okay, but the idea is, I guess, a skill to get out of that and put yourself in this position. Okay. The only thing I don't like about this technique in particular is this, right? At this point, okay, at this point, this is a very weak technique to me. But if you do it nicely, stop him and come around and do this, it works. So, how's your wrist? Good, okay. So try it, but just do it as a smooth movement. It works really nice. If you jerk it around, you're not going to develop the momentum for him to go. Okay? So make it nice and smooth. Okay? Let's see what happens.
Rear foot sweep. Ushiro no ashi judoki. From a lapel grab.
Rear foot sweep.
That's what it says.
Okay.
Yes. Rear foot sweep. Ushiro no ashi. Yeah. Judoki.
Don't ask me to. Mark someday is going to provide me with different terminology for some of these things, because some of this stuff, Seki came up. I've no doubt that he created names for some of these techniques. Okay.
Multiple names.
Sometimes multiple names, which doesn't help.
Or the same name for about 24
Different techniques.
Yes, I know. Which one of these do you want?
My only concern about Mark getting to the point where he's going to give me this information is that the last time this happened in the 70s, some computers were just getting going and they had big cards and everything was binary.
Oh yeah.
And this guy had done a computer printout of Budoshin Jujitsu and Danzen-ryu and about 4 or 5 different ryu, and just cross-referenced all these techniques. And one night he was going to give it to me, and he disappeared.
Oh.
I mean, literally. Home phone disconnected. Nothing. He wasn't at his house anymore. The guy disappeared. We were unable to track him down. I do not want to lose Mark. And the reason I'm saying this is because as I delve into Seki's history more and more, and you've seen some of the stuff, if you hit the website, my website in the past week or so, a little more data has come out. But there's a lot. The thing with Seki is the more you find out about him, the more holes there are. And there's information that I've gotten that I have not put out there because I have not been able to substantiate it in any way yet. But it gets scary at times, because this, he works at Lockheed for X number of years. He's classified as a manufacturing research mechanic, but nobody knew what he did. He disappeared for hours at times, never had his hands dirty, never picked up a tool. Nobody knows what he did. And somehow the government helped him get his job at Lockheed. Anyway, so I don't want to lose you, Mark. Anyway,
And it's also Friday the 13th.
it's also Friday the 13th. Okay.
Okay, from a lapel grab his wrist with your left hand from on top.
Grab his wrist. Okay.
Knife edge to his elbow with your right hand. Hold on to his forearm just below his elbow with your right hand and bring his forearm against your chest. Step in with your right foot. Sweep his right foot by sweeping your right foot back.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, oh, now I get it. He grabbed. I hook. I hit him.
Yep.
I hit him. Come in. Sotogari.
Uno sotogari with the wrist with an arm lock. Yeah.
Yeah. This is all the distraction up here. This is the, I guess this is the guy where he stiff arms you. Okay, and you can't, I want to do a sotogari and I can't, okay? Now you do your sotogari. Okay?
Yep.
That's why we spent the first part of the class today, just doing something to get out of the particular situation. Okay? Because that's all this is. Okay, so all of you know how to do this, so we're gonna have you all do it a couple times.
Yay.
But I want a good stiff arm, which means you're gonna have to give him a good whack.
Pushing him away.
Holding you away.
Okay.
Just a couple comments on this. We borrow Byron for a second. The reason, okay, he's stiff arming and you're doing sotogari, and most time with a sotogari, you come against the person, you push them back so they're off balance, ideally, and you sweep them. Okay. What you're doing with this is that you are using this person's elbow and bringing their forearm against you to do the same thing. So if you look at him, if he's straight arm here, and I hit and pull him, see what happens to him? He's now off balance.
He's loading up.
Okay, and I'm in the same position as if I was going against his body, or okay. So maybe the concept is that you don't need, there are different ways to off balance a person, so you can do a technique. Okay, so anyway, I'll mention that. Okay. Next.
Okay, from a left and right wrist grab, or left on right wrist grab, it's called udenage, arm throw. Your right foot is forward.
Left on right is mirror.
That's left on left.
Left/right. I'm assuming that means his left grabs your right.
Mirror side.
Yes. Okay.
Your right foot is forward. Move his arm in a big clockwise circle to break his grip. Your palm keeps facing down and your fingers face towards him as you circle. As his grip loosens, your hand turns in the same direction of the circle in a tighter second circle, so as to grab his forearm above the wrist from the outside. Complete the circle and pivot your right foot back in a clockwise arc to complete the throw.
Okay. He's here.
I think we may have our clockwise and counterclockwise.
I think it's the grip, because normally when we do wrist grab, it's usually, he grabs with his right hand.
Step in and then step back.
So he should be grabbing with his right, because normally when you do a
Okay,
wrist
well then
grab,
grab with your right. Okay.
no, same, your right grabs his left. Your right hand grabs his left. Isn't that normally how we do wrist grabs?
This just says L/R.
Yeah, I know.
Left
So it's
to-
left hand,
left to
left
right.
hand grabs right hand.
Yeah.
Or right hand grabs left hand. So
Same,
that's
same, same.
Then we should go counterclockwise.
What do you have for lunch? Okay, meditation. Okay.
Spicy chicken?
Okay, the same technique is going to work. I'm going to step in, come around, grab, come back. That isn't going to work as well because I'm going to pull him into me.
I think that would
If
be
you pivot your,
pivot back.
Unless,
it says pivot your,
If you switch the
Is he-
hands, you have to switch the legs.
yes, you have to switch your legs. So if I come in, if I come in
Counterclockwise then.
counterclockwise and step in with my left and pivot my left back, it doesn't matter. You can be left-handed or right-handed on this. You just can't do both at the same time.
oh, that's, why did you clarify?
But if you want to do a really cool tomonagi for this, you can come around here, bring him up, bring those both up, and see, now he's gonna go up and he's just going to have you take him over you. I haven't done that one in decades, but anyway, and I'm not going to, don't think I would feel, because the person is gonna go, there's, you know, you
There's
need
a
to
nice
make-
grassy area outside.
I don't think that would help up here. Okay, so, in all seriousness, he's gonna grab, okay? You're gonna turn counterclockwise, step in, grab his wrist, bring it around, and as you're bringing it past your, I guess, 6 o'clock or whatever it is, all you're gonna do is step back with your right foot, take it back. Okay? Take your left heel.
Oh, here it
comes. If you don't want to do that, because you've got nice clothes on and you don't want to get armpit odor on your heel or your shoe, what you can do as a submission is you take your other foot, and this works really neat if you've got hard leather soles on, or what do we call those boots for hiking that have the 5-gram soles, because those leave nice marks. And you put it under his jawbone, and then you just start vibrating it. Okay, it's annoying as hell. Unfortunately, vibram soles do leave marks.
Which is not a bad thing.
Okay, it's not gonna injure him, but it's gonna hurt like hell. Okay, so I want you to try this 2 or 3 times a piece. Let's move on. Turn around. You need to watch what the right hand is doing. He's gonna be other. I'm here, and you've got this part right. Okay, and you've got this part right. And you've got this part right, and you've got this part right. What's happening here is when you pull back, you pull. Okay? You don't pull. Okay? What you do is you're here, you hook this up and down, and as you pivot back, you continue the circle. You continue the circle. It locks up the ship. He has to go. It's not a pull. It's a circle.
Yeah, because what I was telling you, if you just get this and pull, he's perfectly balanced. He's just going to step forward. But by getting this and twisting it,
He's
off balance.
He's off
Now
balance.
he's up down.
He has to go. So continue the circle.
Shoulder grab, throw behind with right hand. One of you guys over there step up.
I just turn it around sideways.
Your right hand strikes the side base of his ribs or his stomach with a knife edge or backhand strike. As you pivot around clockwise to your right and go down onto your right knee, pivoting to face your attacker at the same time. You may then either strike the back of his neck with a knife edge strike with your left hand if he bends over, or a Jujitsu to his heart with your left hand as you switch to your left knee, advancing onto your right foot.
Choose your own adventure.
Now, repeat in all seriousness. I know what he wants. Okay? And I know what he wants. And there are some techniques in Jiu-Jitsu what are called sacrifice techniques. You think you're going to respond up here, but the reality is you're going to go down low and deal with him from down below. Okay? The sacrifice part is that if you screw up down here, you're in deep doo-doo. Okay, so it's something you have to be aware of. Okay, so what's going to happen here, okay, is he's here. I'm going to come around, strike, come down. Okay, now next one is.
You can either strike the back of his neck with a knife edge strike with your left, if he bends over, or a Jujitsu to his heart with your left as you switch to your left knee, advancing onto your right foot.
So your left knee would be hard for me to do with this left knee, but I will try. Okay, here, I'm going to step forward. Okay.
With your left, though.
He did. Yeah, he did.
Sorry.
Let me know.
Looking at the wrong hand. Never mind. And that's it.
Okay. Now there's a similar one to this, so I'm going to give you another one to do because it may be a little saner. Okay. You know, if you want to strike, he's down. You want to strike to him. Basically, what we're saying is, if you want to come and strike to the heart, to the face, or the neck, whatever you want is fine. Okay, assuming they're going to work. Okay. If he's going to grab, you want to make this into a relatively decent technique. You come backhand. As you come down, I'm going to strike into the lower abdominal area. Okay. I'm here. Okay.
this leg is available. Okay, this is going to be my next target. So I think this one is in that list someplace too. This is going to brace. Okay, this is going to hook. Okay, and this is going to come back down. Okay, I'm now in here. I've got here. I can strike here. I mean, I've got a lot of openings here. But I have to move fast, because otherwise this leg's going to come up and smack me in the face. Okay? So you can get a really nice submission up here.
Get your licks in first.
What?
Get your licks in first.
Yeah, get your licks in first. Okay? And then I can come up, you know.
Well, you bought it now.
You brought it down. That box has lasted since we started our program at Petco in 1996.
Still see the dog here in a minute.
Okay. Okay, so if you're here, you can simply come back up. Okay, you can take your heel, put it in his thigh, go for the nerve. You can drop down into the groin. There are all sorts of things you can do once you have them done, but you have to do them right away because that leg is dangerous. Okay. Does anyone need to see it again, or? Okay. You're here. Oh, come on, dude. Bang, down, here. Now, when you pull this up, do not pull it up towards your middle. You will have a learning experience.
A teachable moment.
Teachable moment. You need to pull it up towards your left and move in. Okay? And then you've got all sorts of neat things you can do from here. Okay, that's the only risky part of doing this here. Is don't, because he's going to go backwards and that leg is going to come up. And you don't want to love tap. Okay? Very good. Okay? See what happens. That'll be my last one for the day.
And for, Nidon, Sandan, Yon, and further, we would have certain areas of study that you can concentrate on further training. So what he did was he sent out a survey to all of his black belts to find out, okay, we're going to do this. What do you want to learn about? Where do you think there are deficiencies? What else do you want to know? And one of the areas, or one of the subjects that came back was this area of countering submissions. And it was pretty high up on the list. It was like number 2 or 3 of what people wanted to learn, countering submissions. What if somebody tries to do one of these things to you? What do you do? So that's the subject of today. Only problem is he failed to ask them, okay, what submissions do you want to learn counters for? So I got nothing. There's nothing to teach here. So I figure, we leave now, we can catch the early bird special innings and we're out of here. Okay, so what do you think? No? You want to cover something anyway? Yeah. Okay, well, since he didn't ask them what they wanted to see, I'll ask you. When you think of submissions and counters to submissions, what you would want to, I want to know how to get out of this. So when I say that, what kind of comes to mind is the types of submissions that you're looking at. As to, it would be nice to know how to get out of this if somebody tried to do it to me. So anybody have any? Yes.
There's one submission I've not been able to figure a way out.
What is it?
Way down.
Okay, I'm not looking for a very absolute specific one, but just give me a general idea.
The general idea is
okay.
this.
We were doing that this morning.
Yeah, we did that this morning.
You did?
Yeah, you should have been here.
Run back and take it.
So we really can go home. Okay, so, all right, a joint block on the ground, something, yeah.
I know it's very popular, the MMA is very popular these days, and the mount.
The mount.
I've seen, several ideas, but I'd love to get your feedback.
On the mount. Okay, anything else, other types of submissions? Yes.
Yeah, Kimura is another
More?
one.
Okay, that's an easy.
Then show us.
Ankle locks. Ankle locks, okay, yeah.
Well, you had made a comment about sleeper holds, that they're easy to get out of. I get that question all the time, but it's usually that people don't have a good hold. So that's the only way I know how to get out of it.
So,
So how to get out of
Yeah.
good sleeper hold.
Yeah.
so a lot of what I hear, and I hear that, I hear the same thing often. Typically, you're talking about the basic joint locks that we learn, wrist lock, figure four wrist lock, or a choke, or something like that. People think of. These are the types of submissions that I'm worried about, and I want to learn how to counter them or prevent someone from doing it to me. But that leads to a very important question. I think people who have been to my training seminars before realize that it's not so much about the techniques. I like to give concepts. I like to kind of stretch the envelope a little bit and get you to think in a different way. Not so much thinking outside the box. I hate that term, thinking outside the box, because if you're outside the box, you're probably in the wrong box. You're just in another box. So you should really.
You don't want the cat.
Exactly. So you should really explore everything in the box before you try to get out of the box. Let me. I'll use. Okay. Technique. You're here. Okay. A hit. Okay. And where was the submission in that? What was the submission? Wrist lock? Wrist lock?
I think this.
Really?
And the head was.
The head hit in the ground.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. What if in this here? What was my initial move? Palm strike to the face. What if I caught him just right in the chin and boom, lights out, boom, he's out. Okay. Wasn't that a submission?
Yeah.
It's over. The submission is whatever. The submission is whatever ends it. Okay. So if I drop him with that palm strike, I don't need to do the throw. I don't need to do the wrist lock. That was the submission. Haven't you learned techniques what we do? And the submission is Wasn't that the submission? The strike was a submission. And so strikes can be submissions. I need to know how to counter strikes. I don't want to get hit. So isn't that part of learning counters? That's a counter. Okay. The throw. What if in doing the throw, I drop him so hard, wham! Isn't that the purpose of a throw? To slam that body to the ground, shock him? That could be it. He hits the ground, his head hits the sidewalk, and lights out. Over, done. Do I need a wrist lock? Do I need to do this? No, he's already unconscious. Okay? The throw was the submission. The submission is whatever ends it. Okay? But I could have gone in. If that didn't end it, I'd go into a wrist lock and go into another technique. And a choke. Okay? So anything we learn, go ahead. Let's see. In Jiu-Jitsu, we study 5 basic areas. Okay? We learn throws. We learn striking. We learn joint locks. We learn nerve techniques, and we learn strangulations and chokes. Every single one of those areas could be a submission. So everything you learn in Jiu-Jitsu could be a submission. So don't get locked into this idea that when you're typically talking about submission, you're talking about joint locks and strangulations. Throw is just as good a submission. If it ends the situation, the throw was the submission. Okay, so in what I'm going to cover between today and tomorrow, we're going to touch on all 5 of those areas. Okay, not just joint locks and strangulations. okay? Throws, nerve techniques, all of them, okay? Because they could all be a form of submission, all right? So again, expand the way you think about things. So you don't want an attacker doing any of those things to you. So it's all about how do I prevent that from happening. Okay, so we're clear. Anything can be a submission. All right. So the first thing I want to cover, the first area I want to cover, just because it's one of the simpler ones to deal with, and then we can get into move into another area, is nerve techniques. Pressure point nerve techniques can be a submission. We learn how to get them down, activate a nerve. This one here, talked about going this one into the thigh. So any nerve technique could result in a submission. Now, in using nerves for submissions, it's very important to understand how they work and how they don't work. Nerve techniques, pressure point techniques, they're great for a momentary, sudden reaction from the opponent. If you can activate a nerve, then they'll jump and they'll move. It can get them off balance. It can make them move in the direction you want them to move. You get a sudden reaction from it because it's literally sending an electrical shock through the body. Nerve information is an electrical signal going back and forth through the central nervous system. So by activating that nerve, it is literally an electrical shock. That's why there's such a sudden and such a jerking reaction from activating the nerve. Problem is, it's only momentary because the way that the brain and the central nervous system work, when a nerve is activated, it causes a lot of quick, immediate pain. It causes a quick reaction. Okay? However, almost immediately, the brain begins to shut it down because it can't handle the intense pain. If you place your hand on a hot stove and you burn your hand, that's what it's a central nervous system. You yell, you jump back, and you jerk the hand back. That's that initial reaction, and because it hurts. Okay? But within just a few minutes, the pain starts to deaden a little bit. It turns into a throbbing pain. It still hurts, but it's no longer that intense shock that you got from the initial. The nerves are still burned. The nerves are still incredibly damaged. That hasn't changed, but the brain begins to shut down the pain. That's part of the survival instinct from the dawn of man. You get hit by something, you get cut, you immediately jerk away because of the pain. But then that begins to shut down to allow you to go, what caused that? What do I need to do to react to that? Do I need to fight back against this thing that bit me? Or the person that tried to kill me? So your brain begins to shut the pain off to allow you to do what you need to do next. Find first aid, whatever it is you need to do. So any activation of the nerve is only going to be temporary. You cannot hold anyone down for any amount of time with a nerve technique because it begins to deaden, and then after a while they may be screaming, ah, and then they're going, well, wait a minute, that didn't hurt so bad. And now they're fighting back at you and getting out of it. So nerves are only temporary. You can't use them as a permanent submission or hold. Okay? The other thing is, how does it work? What makes them work? Why do I get that intense reaction to it? And you need to understand the concept of ki, the energy force. Now, the energy force that we talk about in ki, and using ki in what we do, it's kind of one of those nebulous kind of ideas that are out there. It's kind of hard to really grasp it, how to use it, how it works. But I find the best way to describe the function of ki energy is really to break it down into its two main components. And its two main components are focus and direction. So in utilizing the ki, you need to understand that there's focus. It has to be concentrated, because if it's just, dispersed and in all directions, there's no real use of the ki. So it has to be focused. So it has to be drawn into a single point. And then it needs to be directed. So if I want to generate ki in a specific direction and move an opponent in a certain direction, first I have to concentrate that idea of bringing it in, concentrating my energy into a localized area, and then I need to direct it in a certain location or direction in order to move them and make use of that life force energy. Okay? In activating a nerve technique, the reason it hurts so much, everyone's had nerve techniques done to them, so the reason they hurt too much is because of that focus and direction. And it's not so much the focus and direction of what the person trying to do it to you. It's also your focus and direction. Okay? Because what's happening is, let's say this is one of the more common nerves we go for here. Okay, this is another one, but there's nerve centers all over the body. So I'm just using these for examples for right now, because most of you have had that done to them, and you realize how painful they can be. But what happens is the opponent, if he's got you down, on the ground, and he's driving his thumb up here underneath your jawbone, the reason it hurts so much is, number one, he's focusing and he's directing his ki energy. He's focused on driving into here, and he's got his direction, and all of his energy is driving there. So his focus and direction, his ki energy, is directed to that single point. The problem is, so is yours. As soon as he hits that nerve, your focus also goes directly to that point, localized, and is directed to that point. So now both your ki energy is localized into a single point. And because everything is focused right there, it hurts. Okay? And that's why you get the reaction that you do. And that's why he drives in and you go, ah. Everybody's had that done. You see the reaction on their face. It's like, ah. And they're in the class, and they immediately tap. Okay? So, the secret to dealing with a pressure point or a nerve submission when someone's trying to do it to you is, number one, understand that it's really only going to hurt for a moment. So if you just wait it out, it will stop hurting. Okay? And maybe you don't want to do that. Okay? So what if I don't want to wait it out? Okay? What you have to do, as soon as you feel contact on a nerve center, okay, what you need to do is realize what it is they're about to do, and instead of letting your focus and direction go to that point that they're trying to activate, you change the direction of your focus. Okay? So, I use Byron again. Okay? So, if he was able to get me down, okay, and he's going to use that nerve technique right into, thumb right in here underneath the jawbone and drive into it, okay, what most people do, as soon as he starts to do that, all my attention goes to here, and he puts it in, and I'm like, ah, okay, because that hurts, okay? But instead, I change focus and direction. So instead of I also concentrate in that area, okay, he starts to drive that in. Go ahead, drive it in, drive it in. Yeah, I change my focus and direction, and my focus is no longer there. My focus is somewhere else. It goes somewhere else. I'm like, go ahead, put it in, drive it in. Okay, okay, so I changed my focus, and I'm like, oh, look, Cheerios. Yeah, no wonder I feel so bad. I didn't have breakfast this morning. So I just simply changed my focus. I don't let him control me. I go, okay, I just simply think about something else. I just concentrate on something else. Go ahead and put your knee into this one right here. You know what? I haven't seen too many butterflies this summer. You know, what happened to all the butterflies? Anybody heard about the butterflies? You heard anything about the butterflies? You? No? No. I don't know. I just don't know what happened to the butterflies. Okay. So what was I doing? Instead of going, oh, grab his knee, it's on my femoral nerve. Okay? I'm like, okay, let's see, what time is it? 3 o'clock? Okay. What have I got to do tomorrow? Oh, you know what I forgot to get at the grocery store? Sour cream. And it's just simply change your focus and direction. Don't let him control you. Immediately move into something else. So what I want you to do is just try that at first. Okay, just try it. Just apply the pressure slightly and just realize, okay, it's only going to hurt for a second, but if I think about something else, look around something in the room or something you did earlier today, and just change the focus, and you're going to find out, you know, that really doesn't hurt so bad. It's uncomfortable. You're still going to feel it, but you can just simply put it out of your mind, and then it's like, well, what's he doing? This doesn't work. This doesn't hurt. Okay, and you're going to find nerve submissions are really no big deal. Okay, so get up with a partner and try. You can try this one. You can try this one. Those are usually the most painful when you get them set. Okay, try it.
Okay, try the arm bend. All right, you're going to go for a figure
It
six.
hurts, but
This always cracks
except the
Everybody thinks I'm
urgency away.
nobody can.
Okay.
You
realize
it hurts. Oh, no. It hurts.
Okay.
Lawyers. I'm thinking lawyers. Lawyers. I use lawyers.
Lollipops.
Dancing girls! Dancing girls! That's what you need.
Wow, did the pain go away then? Dancing girls. I think you found Thomas's. Dancing girls.
No, it was there, but it wasn't overwhelming.
Instead of absorbing all of that ki, you're just simply transferring it right back out. And you're able to just simply tell yourself that, oh, it doesn't hurt. Okay? And I've been able to use this, and many of us, sometimes students, I'll show a nerve technique, and then a student tries to do it on me and it doesn't work. It's, why isn't it working? I just keep telling them you're not doing it right. So I use it all the time, because if I always had students trying those things out on me, I'd be a wreck. Only problem that it just doesn't work at the dentist. But anyway, so it's all about changing focus and direction. And then what you can do is, you don't want to just stand there and let them do that. As Chris was talking about earlier, that with that amount of pressure into vital areas, even if you are not allowing it to hurt, or you're redirecting the pain and concentration, it's still causing damage. So you're going to still end up with a bruise. I guarantee you tomorrow I'm going to have a nice purple spot there when he was, because he wasn't holding back. It will cause damage. So as I signal at first, then you're not just going to want to sit there and let them hold it, even though you can prevent it from hurting and you can redirect that energy. You don't want to just sit there, talking about what you had for lunch today while they're driving their thumb up underneath your ear. Okay, But what it does is it allows you a moment to decide what you're going to do. So instead of thumb under the ear and immediate, you got me, at least it's going to buy you a moment to go, wait a minute, what am I going to do? Okay, so use Chris. Okay, so he's coming in, he's going for the, he's going in for the turn technique here. At least for a moment, as he drives it in, I'm going to be thinking, oh, okay, I see what he's trying to do. But look at him. What does he really got here? Does he really have any control over me whatsoever? Okay, let's just simply, I'm out of it. I can take it any way I want to. I'm just going to simply, here, do it again. No, give me another technique. No, really good one. Really good. I want you to submit me. Come on. Okay. Okay. Come on. Okay. All right. Come in. Get that foot in. Get that foot in there. Me in there. Really good. No. Really. Come on. Give me a good one. Give me a good one. Come on. Give me a good one. So the thing is, most nerve techniques are dumb because they never really set up any control over the opponent. In neither one of those did he have any real control over me. I didn't let it affect me, and I just got out of it. So counters to nerve submissions are simply understand it really doesn't have to hurt, and it's the easiest thing in the world to get it off of you, and just move on. Put him into something or get him off of you, and that is counter nerve techniques. Any questions?
I'm concerned about your statement that nerve techniques are dumb.
No. Okay, I understand what you're talking about. They're dumb to be done to you, because now you know the secret. Everything we do in Jiu-Jitsu is based on the element of surprise. Because the other guy doesn't know what we know. The other guy doesn't know what we're doing. And the other guy only knows to instinctively react to the pain and the nerve. And that's why when you do it to someone else who really doesn't know what we know, they're on the ground going, hurts. Okay? So that's why it's a submission. Okay? That's why it works. Okay? The point is, I don't want them doing it to you. So now you know how the secret. So it works. It works on the dumb guy, but it doesn't work on the enlightened, which at least I am. But now you are. Now you know.
Oh, you do have more gray hair than I.
Yes, exactly. And a little bit more weight. Okay, so does that answer your question?
Yes, I mean we have techniques that we understand when we explain it, how to defend against it. We tell the student this is really a stupid technique for somebody to grab you this way because they really don't have anything. Right.
They don't know anything.
I do understand what you're saying now. I just was concerned about without the explanation.
It's dumb to do to you,
okay,
but not to Joe Blow on the street who doesn't know. No. Okay, any other questions on that? Okay, so I was dealing with nerve submissions. Okay, just don't let it affect you, and just get out of it, push it off, and move on to something else. Okay, all right, another area that is often overlooked is in striking techniques. Okay? Striking techniques can be submissions. Okay? Like I said, if you happen to use a striking technique as your opening move as part of your counter attack, and you just happen to hit him just right, and down he goes. Okay? Or we can get him on the ground, and we can use that as a finishing move, as a strike to finish it off. But think about it. The guy on the street, okay, when he's trying to punch you in the face, what is his expectation? His expectation is that with that one, he's going to wind up and he's going to hit you as hard as he can. And his expectation is that he's going to land that blow and he's going to put your butt on the ground with that punch. That's his expectation. That's his design. It's in his mind that that one punch is going to be the submission. It's going to be all over. Okay? In reality, that's probably not going to happen, but that's what he's thinking. So he's thinking that that punch to the face is going to be, that's going to be it. That's going to be his submission. He's going to drop you and it's all over. Okay? So avoiding and countering that initial punch is a counter to an anticipated submission. So you have to look at it that way. Everything you're doing and avoiding those punches and kicks and stuff is all about avoiding that possible one punch submission. And so one thing I do, and this is where, again, let me say this, if you've been to my seminars before, I kind of push things a little bit, and not everyone agrees with my points on these. That's okay. But in what most people believe and are taught, and what I believe for a long time, and I still do it just out of force of habit, is that what you do to counter that punch coming at your face that he wants to put you on the ground with, okay, is a good block. I don't believe that's the best way to go. I don't really like blocks. I don't really use them or teach them that much. They're okay. Good blocks, I feel, are more advanced techniques, and I do them just out of force of habit because I've been doing them for so long, and I get to a point where I'm comfortable with some of them, and I'll do it. So occasionally I'll just throw up a circular block because I'm teaching something else and I'm not really thinking, and I just do it out of force of habit. But what I really prefer to do is to again, focus and direction, redirecting that energy, because that key force that he's trying to deliver to my nose, okay, focus and direction. Okay? What I want to do, instead of just trying to stop his focus and direction by throwing up a block, is I want to redirect that. So I prefer to use deflections, parries, and footwork to move off the line of attack rather than just trying to stand there and throw up a circular block and stop the punch from coming in. The other thing is, in our concept of Jujitsu, the Ju means to yield. It's not about delivering force against force. So that force of that blow coming in, and I'm throwing a force up against it to stop it with a block, kind of goes counter to the avoid force against force. Redirect, let the force go by, yield to the force. So I like to blend more parry, redirect, rather than these hard blocks. And the other thing is that blocks work pretty well with someone in your own weight class. Okay? So in a tournament situation where you're dealing with someone about your own size, okay, you can pull it off. But on the street, you may be dealing with someone a lot bigger than you are. So someone who outweighs you by 30 or 40 pounds, just the body weight behind the blow, even if you get the hands up and you don't get hit in the face, he's still going to knock you down. And you're going to be on the ground with this guy standing over the top of you, and that's not a good situation to be in. But I had a real run-in with a former student, I guess what you call him. His background was in karate, and he'd been doing it for many years, and that's what they live and die on, blocks and strikes. That's what they do. And when I said, I don't like blocks, I don't really do blocks. And he was like, oh, you gotta have blocks, you gotta do blocks. And I said, okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna punch you with my right fist, okay? And I want you to throw up your very best block. And I want you to try to stop it, okay? And your goal is don't get knocked down, okay? Because whether I hit you in the face or not, that's one thing. But if I knock you down, okay, then I've proven my point, okay? So I said, okay, punch in punch you, right hand in the face, okay, throw up your best block and try to stop it, okay? So I told him exactly what I was going to do. So get ready. And I kicked it.
Which is why he's a former student? Which is why he's a former student?
That's why he's a former student. But again, it's about that focus. It's about that focus and direction that we talked about in the last segment about dealing with nerve techniques. Focus and direction. Okay? I want to redirect. I want to change the focus. So in him trying to strike at my nose, okay, instead of just trying to throw a block up there and stop his focus and direction, I want to change his focus and direction. Okay, so I use Chris again. Okay? So when he throws a punch, okay, that's it. Now notice what happened. You know, my nose is here and he's going for here, so he's aiming for this spot. So watch his fist when I do that. Notice how it comes this way? Because once I move, I've moved the target, and all of a sudden he goes, oh no, the target's moving. And just because of doing that, I've changed his focus and direction. I've taken him completely off of his game plan. Okay? And he doesn't really know how to handle that. And so his brain is just completely loses focus and direction. Okay? So I'm all about using footwork and redirection rather than trying to throw up a block and trying to stop it. Okay? So let's see what was the first technique I wanted to do here. Okay? The other problem with blocks is that if he throws a punch, I've got a block. Okay? That's a move. That's a technique. Being able to do a good block, like I said, it's a more advanced move. And there's nothing wrong with blocks if you know how to do them right. But my feeling is it takes a lot of work and practice to get really good at blocks and make them functional. Okay? So, yes?
Statistically, in the real world, the timing never works.
Exactly. Yeah. There's just so many problems that happen with it. That you miss it, you don't get the hand up fast enough. There's so many things that can go wrong with it. So my goal is to move the target. Okay? Don't try to stop with move the target. Move off the line of attack. Okay? But the other problem with the block is it's a technique. It's a technique. So for me to block, I got to think block. And I block it and something. Now, okay, now what am I going to do next? Okay? So even if it works, I've taken that time, and now I got to think, okay, where do I go from here? What's my next move? Okay? However, if he throws a punch, and I'm not even concerned with the punch, because number one, I know I'm not going to be here. My nose is not going to be here when the fist gets here. Okay? I'm already moved off the line of attack. No block, no nothing. I ain't doing it. All I'm thinking about is he's gonna punch. Oh, he's there. Okay? I don't move to a block and then a technique. I move directly to my technique. Immediate reaction. Okay. Focusing on a block is a waste of time. Okay. I want to go immediately to my counterattack. Okay. So all I want you to do here is I want you to slide step. Okay, my students are very familiar with slide step. The slide step is nothing more than stepping off to the side. okay? And you get comfortable with it, like let them go right by, okay? That's all you're doing, okay? You avoid the strike and then I'm going, you know what, I want a knee strike, and it's right there. So I don't worry about the block. I go directly to my technique, which is a knee strike into the bladder. Okay? So I want you to get up with your opponent, and let's do it from this side in case you didn't see what I was doing. Okay? This is simple. Move directly to your technique. Okay? Don't worry about the block. Be confident that you're moving off the line of attack and simply go right into what's going to begin to take him down, hurt him, change his direction and focus immediately. Okay? So don't even worry about it. Just move offline and drive that knee into your strike. One less thing to think about. Okay? So get up and try that with your opponent. Counter it.
But my God, you gotta be able to do it at the right time too. I just got so many punches.
The easier it becomes, because if I've got to think about all these different things I got to do to get this person under control, oh, I got to block, I got to get the hand, I got to get the arm, then it just adds too many things to think about. So if I can cut out some steps, then I get to the meat of it a lot quicker, and I get him to react a lot quicker. Now, again, that was just an example so you could see what I'm talking about. Disregard the punch, just go around it and then do whatever it is you want to do. Now, in reality, yeah, you want to be a little bit more careful, protect your head. So that's why the covers and parries, just to protect the head, just in case. But the idea is not to try to stop the blow. It's to redirect it, it's to parry, to make sure you don't get hit in the head and move directly to a technique. Not stop along the way with some kind of block, because I use Budoshin Ju, okay? Yeah. So again, he throws a punch and I got a block. Okay, now now I'm going to get my hand. Now I'm going to go into a elbow lock. So it just adds a couple more steps to whatever it is that I wanted to do. You can stay up here. Okay, so that's why your covers and your parries, getting your hands up, block and redirect is a lot better than just trying to stop it and block it. So I can use the same idea. As I said, I just simply disregard the blow. And I decide, okay, I'm gonna use it. I'm not gonna try to stop it. I'm actually gonna use it. Okay. So in the last one he threw the punch. I just move out and go right into the knee strike. Okay. If I want to use the arm, if he's gonna punch and he's gonna. So again, I completely disregard the punch. I completely disregard the punch, and all I'm thinking is elbow lock. Okay? Again. Elbow lock. Okay? I wasn't thinking block. I wasn't thinking anything. I was thinking elbow. I go directly to the technique. And that way I have one less thing to think about. All I'm saying, oh, there's a fist coming in. Oh, look what I got. And it's over with. Okay? So, again, all you're going to do is, instead of worrying about trying to block it, he throws the punch and he says, oh, look, an arm. He says, this comes in, hooks in here at the wrist. This one comes in here at the elbow. Just take him right down. Directly to the elbow lock. No, not thinking about anything else. Directly to the technique. Okay? Got it? Okay, let's try that a few times. Forget about the punch. Just go directly to the elbow lock.
Not a good catch on the big toe. That block at the end.
We'll just take the shoulder lock in.
Done.
You're so gentle. Now we're so gentle. You get the concept here, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the best thing you can do with an attacker is ignore them. Isn't that true? I mean, you got somebody, you're out somewhere and somebody just wants to start some drunk is mouthing off in there, pointing in there it is. Is it better to get like, what'd you say to me? Or did you say, he's drunk. Ignore him. Okay? That's the best way to avoid it.
What if he comes after you?
That's something to pull out. Officer, he was stalking me, I swear. Big gun. Okay, so again, that's what I mean by sometimes you need to kind of change your way of thinking because sometimes things can get in the way. But sometimes if you're concentrating and you're focusing too much on the blocks and stopping that punch from hitting you in the face, then you're concentrating on the wrong thing. You should be focusing on what you're going to do to get that person hurt, moved, off balance, under control, and then go from there. So I'm going to show you one more in that aspect. And, now, what we've covered so far, what we talked about is he's trying to throw the punch. And again, I'm going through this fairly quickly because there's a lot to cover. Still got a lot to do tomorrow. But I just want to give you some concepts and some things to think about and how you might want to handle situations. Because as I say, this is designed for upper rank training, Nidan, Sandan, Jodan, and higher. So some of these concepts may be a little tough for regular students to get because there are a lot of things that you have to get down first. But with a little practice, you begin to see how you can refine what you're doing. That's what I call sharpening the sword or sharpening the saw. We give you tools. We teach you how to use them. Okay? And you practice them and you don't learn them. And you get better at them. You use the tools. But what happens? After a while, your saw, after a while, your saw begins to dull. And you have to go back. And you have to go back to the fundamentals. And you've got to sharpen that sword and look for ways to improve and make things better. Make that sword or that saw sharp again, so that now it becomes functional again. Okay? So it's how we go back and we revisit techniques, learn how to make them better, how to improve on what you're doing. And that's part of what this process is: revisiting, rethinking how you're doing things. Okay, so we've been concentrating on just a punch, a typical technique that we are attack that we deal with in class. In reality, you've seen street brawls, you've seen realistic attacks. Guy doesn't just go. Okay? They're going to come at you. The street brawler is going to be coming. He's coming at you with both fists. He's giving you everything he's got. So what you're going to have in most cases is you're going to have a right followed immediately by a left. And you give him the chance, there's going to be another right and another. He's just going to keep coming. Those fists are swinging fast and furious. That's what you got to deal with, because that's reality. Okay. However, Go back to my concept, okay? Ignore it. Ignore it, okay? Yeah. Ladies and Tony. So we're going to do it slow at first, so you see what's going on. But he throws the punch here. I move out of the way. I don't get hit. While he wants to hit with the other one. I just move again, and I don't get hit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move here and move in. So what happens is I move out of the way. This one, well, I moved over here. If I just stand here, this one's going to catch me right in the nose. Okay, so I know there's a good possibility that left is coming right in behind it. Okay, so I avoid this one, and then I avoid this one. I'm coming in here for my hip throw, Obinagi. Okay, and all I'm doing is I'm just ignoring the. I'm just ignoring the strikes. I'm just going into it. Okay, he's a brawler. I see that fist come up. I'm thinking, oh, hip throw. I just move into the technique. Just the fact that to do the technique, I've got to move in here close. Well, what happens with this punch? Did I try to stop it? Did I try to block it? Did I try to? No. I just move it, and there's my throw. Okay? So I just ignore them. I go around them. So again, slowly, as he throws this punch, I move to avoid it. As he throws this one, I move in and I go around, grab the belt, and hit throw. Okay? Yeah, no blocks. I didn't even parry. I just simply moved in from my hip throw. In this case, a belt throw, Obinagi, and I just did my technique. Forget the strikes. Just do what it is you want to do. Okay? Cut out the middleman. Go right to the source. Okay? So I want you to try that. He's going to throw a right. You won't move. He throws a left. You're coming around. Okay, let's try this way. Just go straight for the technique. Why waste time with anything else? Okay? All right, so let's try that. Obinagi, belt throw. Some people call it a little different, but some sort of it's a hip throw. Yeah, it's a hip sort of. Okay? All right, so try that a few times, and we might be able to get in a couple more.
I only get my one or two pairs.
One more slate. You see, Norm, that guy in your class. Okay, this time give it to me.
Ready?
What's that?
You can go into any throw or takedown. I'm just trying to make the point that by moving directly in for your technique, okay, you put yourself in so close to him, you're taking the target out of position. He wants to hit this face that's right here, but if the face isn't here, if the face is right next to his shoulder, he can swing all he wants to. He's not going to hit the target. Okay, again, changing focus and direction, and you just simply ignore the punches. You just go straight into whatever it is you want to do. Again, that was just an example. It could have been a drop throw. It could have been any other form of takedown. That's just an example. Okay. All right. So before we run out of time, let's talk about on the ground. Okay. You're on the ground. Somebody's on top of you or whatever position. You're in. He wants to, as they say in MMA, with the ground and pound. Okay. They use one of the. I still don't understand it. Okay, I see it in MMA. I got it. Guy gets him in the guard. Okay, but he just sits here with the guard in, and he let's turn this way so he can see. I got the guard set. Okay, I should be able to control him somewhere. But what do? I just let him stand up and just start wailing, elbows, fists, And how many times have you seen that in UFC?
Over and over again.
How stupid is that? Okay? I'm going to actually hold him with my legs while he pounds me in the face? You know, what would I at least be doing? It's stupid. I've never seen anything so stupid, but I see it all the time. Now, what the heck do you expect to accomplish? Okay, well, okay, if I can get him to break both of his hands on my head, maybe I'll have a chance. Okay, it's dumb. So in order to use the guard, the guard is here for a purpose. It's to change his focus and direction. Okay, if he wants to get in close and try to do grappling and chokes and joint locks, I use my legs to push him away. So he loses control. If he backs up and he wants to punch, I pull him in close so he can't punch. His legs, the guard is meant to do avoid grappling, avoid punches. Grappling? No, punch, no. All right, now you do this on the street, they'll probably call the police. There's two guys doing something obscene now. But that's how the guard is used. Okay, you use your legs. Change from, if he's too close, you push him away. If he's backing away to punch, you draw him in. That's how you use the guard. Not just hold him in there so he can beat your face in. That's stupid. Okay.
I think there was a question though.
Yes.
Oh no, I just wanted to mention on the elk kick, they had to ban it in order to get sanctioned by the Nevada and California athletic commissions. They had to ban the elk kick. So that's
Yeah, but even so, wouldn't you just try to get him away from you somehow? Just drop the guard and roll away.
What is the elk kick?
What I did to get him away, I kicked him back. Yeah.
They banned that?
It was banned because you have a base on the ground and it puts enough power into the kick that it can be it's too dangerous.
Somebody could get hurt.
They deemed it to be dangerous.
Yeah, no, the idea is there are a whole bevy of techniques that are banned.
Okay, so again, the guard is fine, as I showed, by being able to use the guard, understand how to use the guard. That's fine, but I haven't really accomplished anything. I haven't gotten this fight over with. I push him away, pull him in, it annoys him, it'll wear him out, but it hasn't done anything to get the fight over with. Okay, so what I want to do is, okay, we end up here on the ground, and he raises up as if he's going to hit. What I want to do is, again, move off the line of attack. I can't just sit here and try to cover up. Okay, it's not going to work. Okay, he's still going to find ways to hurt me. So the same thing is, I've got to get off the line of attack. This is where most people make their mistakes in doing this. Is when he raises up, I want to and let it go by, just like we did in it. Ignore it. Just get out of the way of it. Let it go by. If we're on a sidewalk, what did he just do? He just punched the concrete with his fist. I don't care. Okay? In fact, that's a good thing. So what I want to do is, here, when he does that, I want to just roll out of the way of it. Okay? Ooh, look what I've got here. Immediate submission. Immediate over with. Okay? So all you're going to do is, okay, here, he raises up. Wow,
Slow.
It's all good. Okay? Yes, sir. Okay? You might need to see that again? Antonio said he needs to see it. He should feel that. He just said he needs to see it 12 more times. Okay? All right. You've done that. Yes. Okay. All right. So I'm not going to explain. All you're doing, as you move out, just roll out here. You keep your, let's turn this way, son. Okay. That's right. I just simply keep this one in here. Okay? Leg lock. Okay. Now, again, it's just quick so we can get to as much as we can here. Again, this is still not the best position here because he's still laying on top of me. But that's okay. I can handle that. I can handle that easily. Nothing. Come on, he's got 2 legs. He can go out one. Okay?
You need to do it to somebody else so he can see it.
Oh, I know his technique, but maybe he's gonna do. He's not, okay, you're right, so he knows. Okay, got it? It's very simple. Simply roll off, let the punch go by, and then look what you've got sitting there right in front of you. Ooh, flipped. Thank you very much. Okay, all right, so let's try that quickly, and maybe we can get in one more. You know, if it's moving, it's kind of hard to get and control. So if you just ignore that, let it go by, and go to something he's totally unsuspecting. Okay, no one would, unless they are familiar with competitive formats, things like that. No one in that situation would ever expect that you're just simply going to drop out of the picture and then go for his foot. They would never suspect that. So that's the idea, is use that element of surprise. Use the thing that he would never expect you to do. Because the thing he expects, he's already starting to protect against and counter against. Okay? But it's the thing that he's not looking for is what's going to catch him off guard and is going to be able to get you that quick end to that altercation. Okay. All right. Now, the other situation where you're on the ground and the other person is on top of you is if they're in the mount position. So I use Byron again on here. So now this one's a little different because in the guard, you'll go back in the guard here. In the guard here, notice I've actually got a good range of motion. I can go a lot of different ways. I can come in here, I can move out here. I got all sorts of stuff that I can do from the guard position. But once we go to the mount, and the fact that he's sitting back here on my hips, there's not much I can do with my legs. I really don't have much use of the legs at all. So he's taken away some of my best tools in this position. Plus the fact I can't roll as well. Okay, he's got his weight on me. I can't really move that well. Okay, so what I want to do, same thing though, same concept is I'm not going to worry too much about the punch because, like I said, you coming up here and trying to get this arm, trying to do an arm bar. I'm still not in a good position to really use the arm bar. Come in and try to get this and try to do something else with it. Where am I going to go with this? Because I have a limited range of motion. Then a lot of those things, trying to get his arm and control him that way is just not really all that practical. Okay, so when he throws a punch, the same thing. I want to ignore it. I want to move out and let it go by. Okay, but as it goes by, I want to make sure it keeps going by. Okay, and now I'm in a situation where I can either grab hair, grab collar, here, throw him off the other way. Okay, so I let the punch go by, and then I put him into a position where I can easily bridge him off. And a bridge is using your hips and legs and roll and drive. Okay, so okay, yeah, you're all in out. Okay, so again, go by, and I go ahead and push. Okay, to keep him going in that direction. Then I come in here, I come in underneath the nose, jaw, whatever, and there's. I'm right in. I've got his back, and I can go into whatever submission that I want to. So from this side, here, drive him that way, and then here, eyes, nose, everything I got in here. Then drive that head back. Now you got you. Now I got it. Okay, whatever I want to do to submit. Okay, so let it go by. Let his momentum carry him that way. Gets him off balance. Then you take him, get his head, not his arm, and then get his head or his collar, and then turn that head and drive him back the other way. And you got him. Got him under control. Okay? You see that?
I'm good.
Got it? Okay, very good. So from a mount position, again, let it go by and actually help it. Help continue it in that direction. That's going to take him completely off balance because he's going to end up here. The only way for him to get back up is to push himself back up. okay? So his arms are gonna be occupied, and it's gonna give you that moment that you need to get his head, control his upper body, and get him off of you. Okay? All right, sorry. Okay, the point of just about everything we covered here, dealing with nerve techniques, running with striking techniques, you're trying to avoid that finishing move. He's trying to do something that's going to end it, and he's winner, okay? And you're left holding the bag. We can't allow that to happen. So in nerve techniques, we learn a little bit about them. Striking techniques, same concept is we just kind of ignore it. We just go ahead and do whatever it is that we want to do. Go around it, go under it, over it, it doesn't matter. Just ignore it, go directly into the technique that we want to do. So it's possible to just sometimes just kind of ignore the attack or the submission that they're trying to do to finish you off. Okay? Now, other areas that we haven't covered yet, joint locks, throws, and strangulations, chokes and strangulations, okay? Those aren't quite so easy to ignore, okay? Can't really just deal with those by ignoring. You can't just ignore an elbow lock, because even if you can ignore it, it's still gonna go pop. So, we're gonna deal with those tomorrow. The types of submissions where it's not so easy to just kind of go around and treat them quite as nonchalantly as we have done with nerve techniques and strikes. But remember, anything can be a submission. What you were trying to avoid is them doing something to you that could end it in their favor. That's what this is all about. That's what countering submissions is all about. And understand that anything can be a submission if it's used. Okay, so tomorrow we'll deal with the other Nage, Kensetsu, and Shime. And we show you how to deal with those types of submissions. Okay, so any questions on anything we covered today? Okay.